game gets real, drink bottle still.
Where exceptional student athletes are born. Where records are broken. Where great plays are made. Where school colors ignite passion. Where champions prevail. Where tradition is celebrated. Ontario University Athletics.
You don't think that's too cheetah looking? Does that look cheetah looking?
No.
No matter your team this season, a refreshing taste that's easy to enjoy. Bud Light.
When the game gets real, drink BioSteel.
Yates Cup Championship features two Titans and two longtime rivals. The Western Mustangs have dominated the OUA, 35 titles including the last 3. They are among football elite in Canadian university football. But this season, a new challenger has emerged from just down the 401. The Laurier Golden Hawks are undefeated so far in 2024. They already have one win against Western and today need one more to continue their perfect season. It's all on the line. Western versus Laurier for the OUA Yates Cup Championship.
Get it on the go. I get it on the go. Get it on the go. I get it on the go. Oh, what a rush. I get it on the go.
There is nothing like a Yates Cup Saturday, the 116th edition, right here at University Stadium in Waterloo, Ontario. The Western Mustangs this time around, they are on the road to take on the Wilfred Laurier Golden Hawks, the most explosive, powerful, dangerous passing attack in the entire country. Hello, everyone. Marshall Ferguson alongside Jack Moore. We have the call for you here this afternoon. And Western having to do it on the road makes this feel a little bit different today, Jack.
Little bit of a different feel, but it's still a dynasty versus destiny matchup. The Western Mustangs looking for their 4th consecutive Yates Cup and looking to become the first team to win 6 of the last 7. The Laurier Golden Hawks hosting this game for the first time since 2005, and the last time they hosted, they went on to win the Vanier Cup in an undefeated season. Will Laurier do it again, or will Western continue to make purple rain, Marshall?
Well, the man at the controls for the Wilfred Laurier Golden Hawks is their starting quarterback, the back-to-back now OUA MVP in Taylor Elgersma.
Taylor Elgersma, like you mentioned, back-to-back MVP. The Laurier team goes collectively as Taylor Elgersma goes. If he's on rhythm, if he's on time, Laurier has utmost confidence in their team to do everything right.
Ethan Gregorczyk is the middle linebacker, the former Rookie of the Year last season in the OUA, and he will be working, of course, in the running game a lot against the Western Mustangs. Looking forward to seeing what he can do after another dynamic performance last week in the semi.
Yeah, best cover game of the season for Ethan Gregorczyk, and that's what made him so dynamic last year to become the OUA's Rookie of the Year, and the Laurier Golden Hawks were hoping for much of the same from him against a potent Western offense.
And you wonder how much Evan Hillock, the starting quarterback for the Western Mustangs, can't believe he's in his 4th season now. He'll be staring down Gregorczyk obviously throughout the afternoon, but when he gets his opportunities, will he push it down the field against the likes of Jahari Hastings and the rest?
Well, Evan Hillock, all he does is win, and that's all he's done as a starting quarterback. His first OUA loss as a starter came in week number 4 against the Golden Hawks earlier this year. 3 Yates Cups and a national championship already on his resume.
He has been an interesting and special player for this offense as he's evolved. And Jackson Finley, the veteran in North Vancouver, BC, projected to be a top 5 CFL pick, but all eyes locked on him today right here in the Yates.
Well, he can do it all. He can cover on the back end. He can step into the box, one of the best pure tacklers in the country, and no reason why he shouldn't be a top 5 pick in the CFL. He's the highest rated U Sports player going into the CFL Scouting Bureau in the early rankings, and that defense goes as Jackson Finley goes.
Got a feeling his stock will go up as we go throughout this game. Even the top overall draft pick for us here this afternoon is the 3rd member of our broadcast team. Let's head down to Denung Bulsara.
Thanks, fellas. Well, tensions are high down here. It's probably because I got these two next to me. It's our honorary captains for today's game. I got Curly Gittens Jr., former Golden Hawk and current Edmonton Eskimo. And we got his daughter, Logan. And then I got former Mustang and current Cat Marleggio and his girlfriend, Sophia. Gentlemen, all right, a lot of tension down here. You two have Yates cups at the other person's expense, but who wears the purple better?
I'm going to keep it simple. I'll say, our purple is, obviously better. But, it'll be a good game today.
I can't imagine you agree with that, Mark.
Obviously I don't agree with that. Western Mustang purple, we bleed purple. And I think our purple's been in a lot of these games before, so I think we're ready for today.
First Yates Cup here since 2005 in front of this Laurier crowd. What is it like to see all of this, Curly?
Honestly, it's amazing just coming back here, especially with the new field we got here. And just seeing the atmosphere, all the students, obviously our purple is, we got a lot more of our purple out here. So, it feels like home. And I bet the guys, they're ready to put on a show.
Awesome. Okay, why don't you put your analysis cap on right now? I need a score prediction from you two. So, Mark, what are you thinking? I'm imagining it's in favor of Western.
I'm going to say 24-21 with a game-winning field goal from Western.
Of course, a game-winning field goal from the kicker. How about you, Curly?
I'm going to say 28 for Laurier, 24 for Western, obviously because we got the best offense in the league.
All right. The statements have been made. We're going to find a friendly wager to make as well, throughout the game. And I'm going to catch up with these two at halftime. So we're going to enjoy the first half. Back to you, fellas.
Thank you, D. Appreciate it as we get set for kickoff here. And, man, the energy is up in the building. A wonderful back and forth between Mark Leggio and Curly Gittens Jr. as we are getting set for kickoff in the 116th Yates Cup powered by BioSteel. As it was Laurier winning the coin toss, deferring, and Western, the highest powered offense in the entire OUA, they decided they wanted to take the football immediately. And so Laurier will get themselves the choice coming up to begin the third quarter, but it's time to go. The wait is over. Kick it off. And let's determine a Yates Cup champion on the road for the Mustangs here in Waterloo as it's returned inside the 10-yard line as Daniel Kabongo going nowhere in a perfect start field position-wise, Jack, for the Wilfred Laurier Golden Hawks.
Well, that's Leome Ojatalayo, offensive receiver. He plays the field receiver for the Golden Hawks on offense, but he's the team's special teams captain. He gets down the field, and he's an energy guy for the Golden Hawks. Makes a big tackle and forces Western to start inside their own 15.
And you pointed out before kickoff, right down in that end zone, it's getting rowdy.
That's the student section, Marshall, and if you know Laurier students, they like to party, and they'll be in Evan Hillock's ear all day.
Out comes Hillock that you mentioned in the opening, first loss as a Western starter in the regular season against these Golden Hawks. They'll play 1st and 10. What else would he do? Inside run as the Mustangs look to set the tone immediately with the big man and the senior, Keon Edwards.
Yeah, the 2022 OUA MVP, Keon Edwards, gets the run right up the middle and follows that incredible offensive line with 3 OUA All-Stars, 2 of them being on the first team. Edwards, a down year in terms of production, but Western knows they can run the ball effectively, and Keon Edwards is the head of that.
Picks up 9 yards. They'll play 2nd and 1, and they bring in a couple of extra big bodies, as you would expect from this Mustang team, that when it comes to rushing the football, 227 yards per game, obviously first in the OUA. That is their MO as Hillock stands in the gun. Braden Masseri fake the cross ball motion. They'll shift the fullbacks across, look inside run, and once again, free running 5-6 yards down the field before any contact was made. They give it back to Keon Edwards.
Western Mustangs committed to the run. They're a run-first team. In the regular season matchup, their first run of the game went for 21 yards before they fumbled and Laurier took over. Now the Mustangs moving from their own 13 up to the 30-yard line, and Keon Edwards just following that incredible offensive line who wants to set the tone early in this one and wear down this Laurier defense, Marshall.
Eric Anderson, the JP Metros Award winner for Lineman of the Year in the OUA, is the left tackle here for the Mustangs, as he'll get a chance to pass protect for the first time. Hillock pumped, wanted to go deep shot down the right. Now he checks it down underneath. Keon Edwards trying to get away and barely escapes. Not for much of a gain that time, as we see Hillock get his first completion of the ball game.
You watch Evan Hillock's eyes. He looks off to his right. He's looking for Mohsen Jamal, the wide receiver, to the boundary side. Nothing there. Malik Cote in coverage. He checks it underneath. Keon Edwards gets away from Jesse Wilkins. And then the big man, Chizanem Insutem, getting Keon Edwards wrapped up and forcing a 2nd and long for the Mustangs.
Insutem out of Brampton making his way here to Laurier in his 4th season. They go back to the ground game. Keon Edwards breaks across the 35, chopped down, but not until he crosses the 40. Is coming in from the secondary that time. It was Tristan Miller that had to make the play. No linebackers in sight that time. The offensive line all over him.
The Western Mustangs, one of these rare teams in the country who are very comfortable running the ball on 2nd and long. Greg Marshall told us that, and they go to it there on 2nd and 8, and Keon Edwards with a big gain gets a 1st down for the Mustangs.
Yeah, I said you got to run the ball on 2nd down to keep things honest. I think he just wants to do it regardless. As this time on 1st down, they'll mix it up. Hand it off inside once again, and the aforementioned Eric Anderson trying to push the pile. It looks like the first touch for Keanu Yazbek at Kirkland, Quebec.
Keanu Yazbek getting his first touch of the game for the Western Mustangs, and still Western just trying to impose that dominance. 6-yard gain, but these tough runs in the first quarter can start to wear a team out as the energy and the noise picking up here at University Stadium, Marshall.
2nd and 5. Comes from Western's own 48. Handed off right side. Yazbek breaking free. 50, 40. Now it's a race to the end zone, and Yazbek won't be touched. Touchdown Mustangs to open it up.
Western sideline liking what they're seeing early on from this rushing attack, Marshall. Keanu Yazbek getting the carries after Keon Edwards started the game, and we'll just see Keanu Yazbek follows that lead block, cuts it to the outside. Great job by Seth Robertson, 1st team OUA All-Star, down the field blocking. And Keanu Yazbek remembers Jahari Hastings forcing a fumble against him in the regular season, and he gets him back there.
And a statement right off the top for the Western Mustangs. Only had 1 pass completion. That little check down underneath to Keon Edwards. Everything else straight down the pipe.
Yeah, Western's not shying away from anybody, and after that great special teams tackle by Laomi Ojatalayo, 3rd best rushing defense in the conference, and Laurier just gets gashed. Play after play, they force 1 2nd and long. Western able to pick up the 1st down, and then like you saw on the replay, Keanu Yazbek goes off. And once he gets into open field, nobody can catch him, and he capped that one off with a touchdown, and Western starts the game with a statement.
And we see Ethan Jordan coming out. We expected to see some of this in the kick return game. Michael Faulds basically daring the Western Mustangs. Where do you want to send the football? To the OUA 1st team all-star returner Tayshawn Jackson, who he said is a fan and locker room favorite? Or do you want to kick it to our 1,000-yard receiver that can make you miss in the open field as well as anybody? So that's the choice sitting right now in front of the Mustangs as Brian Garrity has the ball on the tee after knocking through the extra point. And an early 7-0 advantage for Western, and they'll just hack it down short. They don't want any part of Jordan or Tayshawn as Luke Rayner brings that one back, does what he can. Unexpected return for Rayner, but I'm sure he's going to step up to the challenge, and we've already seen the opening shots of strategy here in the Yates Cup.
Well, and that's where the gamesmanship's really going to come into play. Tayshawn Jackson, one of the most explosive players in the conference when he gets the ball in the return game. Western more comfortable just to give the back-to-back MVP the ball on his own 39-yard line to start.
And you already know the fire that Taylor Elgersma plays with. He's got to be just fuming after that start for the Mustangs. He had to stand on the sideline and watch that. Well, what can he do? First snap of the ball game, Laurier goes with their own inside running attack. Handed off inside, and Tanner Nelms, the 2nd team OUA All-Star, he gets the first touch of the ball game.
Yeah, and this is going to be important for Laurier to try and establish a rushing attack. It's going to force Western to bring guys into the box and then allow Taylor Elgersma to get the ball into space to a number of wide receiving weapons that he has in this offense.
Yeah, they'll split Ojatalayo and Ryan Hughes out wide here in the gun on 2nd down and 4. Parcelidis crosses the formation, tries the lead block. He went wide and up in between the tackles. Went the running game, looks like perhaps half a yard shy from where we stand, and so early decision time for Michael Faulds and this coaching staff. And he turns around And looks like he's yelling for the heavies to come out. Taylor Elgersma's going nowhere.
Yeah, Laurier's not going to shy away from this, especially after the start that Western had. 2 running plays go for 9.5 yards. They get a 3rd and short. But this is a Laurier offense that is very confident in this offensive line and what they can do, and a 6'6", 225-pound quarterback in short yardage.
3rd downs this season, 8 of 11, converting at 73%. That's first in the OUA thanks to this big body, but he'll turn around and hand it off, and reaching across, it is a 1st down for the Golden Hawks.
Well, and this is where Laurier's offense in the running game can be a little bit different than Western. With Western, you know what you're going to get with Keanu Yazbek and Keon Edwards. Laurier has 3 different running backs that are very different paced backs. They have Tanner Nelms, the traditional running back. They have Tayshawn Jackson, the scat back. And there you saw Darian Bassick-Hayden, the bowling ball in there. 5'9", 220 pounds, and he rumbles for a 1st down.
5'9", 220. Yeah, I'd use him on short yardage too, as they'll move Nelms out to the flats this time. Elgerza looks down the field. Tayshawn Jackson drops it in! Bombs away! Touchdown Golden Hawks! Shot for shot. The ground game for the Mustangs meets with the aerial attack of Wilfred Laurier on cue.
Well, we talked about gamesmanship and not kicking the ball to Tayshawn Jackson, so Todd Galloway, the Laurier offensive coordinator, says, you don't want to kick him the ball? We'll get him one-on-one coverage and throw it over the top. The blazing speed of Tayshawn Jackson responds immediately for the Laurier Golden Hawks on their first drive of the game. This is what we expected, Marshall, and I don't think we should expect anything less the rest of the day.
As Dawson Hodge knocks it through, we're knotted up at 7. And adjustments on both sidelines defensively. You'd have to think scrambling to try and figure out after the scripted opening for these teams of, okay, so this is what we're getting, guys. What are we going to do? And you got to do it on the fly, on the sidelines in this crazy environment.
Well, it's a nightmare for defensive coordinators, but if you're an offensive coach for either of these teams, you have to be happy about the start that you've seen. Laurier starting to get that rushing attack going. They get into a situation on 1st down, and then they're able to burn Western over the top when Western's probably expecting Darian Bassick-Hayden to get another run because Laurier is committed to the run off the first 3 plays of the game. So Tayshawn Jackson able to make that explosive play despite not being kicked the ball on the opening kick return, and Taylor Elgersma does what Taylor Elgersma does, and he throws a perfect spiral down the middle of the field in a spot that only Tayshawn Jackson can make a play.
So what does Western do to answer back? As a little moonshot of their own, they'll hack it down as Western takes it at their own 30-yard line, and about a 10-yard return that time for Braden Masseri as he brings it out. So good starting field position on this drive compared to where Western was to begin the last one, Jack, but at the same time, within 2 plays, this is where Western was because of their ground game.
Well, it's interesting. It's almost like both coaches have said, yeah, we don't care that much about field positioning right now. It's about who's going to get a stop. And we talk about the Laurier returners, Tayshawn Jackson. Roman Campanero and Daniel Kabongo are 2 very capable returners in their own right for Western. They're starting at their own 41. Laurier started at their own 39. Fireworks starting to fly here in Waterloo.
Evan Hillock, second possession. Looks left, come back over the middle, knocked down. Tried to hack it underneath as it looks like Tenney was the one who got it. Marcus Tenney thrown right into his chest, looking for a little crossing route that time. So now Western has to play in 2nd and long, a situation they don't often have to.
Marcus Tenney, a defensive tackle. You see the stunt there from Laurier. He gets off the edge, one of the most brute strength players for this Golden Hawks defense, and that 6'3" frame gets up and knocks it down for Evan Hillock, who has 2nd and 10.
Keon Edwards is in with a fullback, 3 receivers to the right. That's where Hillock looks. Pressure's on, rolling away, and he will be tripped up about the 44-yard line. So the punting unit has to come out for the Mustangs, giving chase in behind. Jaden Griffiths making the play.
Well, this is something that the Golden Hawks defensive coaches told me that they want to do when Western gets into passing situations. It's not necessarily about hitting Evan Hillock. It's about getting pressure and making your presence felt. And Hillock unable to get away from Jaden Griffiths, the Sam linebacker on that one. He gets chased down, tripped up. And for the first time today, we have a punt. Western giving the ball back to Laurier.
And from one Griffiths to another, Olivier Griffiths coming out, all 6'3", 210. The first year from London is pressure on, gets it away. High spiraling boot, bit of a wind at his back, and it does drop down. Ethan Jordan at about his own 22-yard line, spins away from 2, and nearly got loose, but solid special teams coverage by Jackson Finley down the field. Greg Marshall told us a couple of days ago that he doesn't play special teams because we only have one of him, and then he paused. Jackson said, he's going to be on every special this week. I think we just saw why.
It's funny because we have a call with Michael Folds, and he tells us, well, they're either going to have to kick to Tayshawn Jackson or Ethan Jordan. 20 minutes later, we're talking to Greg Marshall, and he says to us, Jackson Finley doesn't play special teams, but he's playing special teams on Saturday, and there, those two guys, two of the best players in the country, going toe-to-toe, and Finley forces Laurier to start from their own 22.
Elgersma fresh off his touchdown pass, looks down the field again, over the top. Was looking for Jace Atkinson that time, incomplete as the coverage supplied by Kojo Odum. And you can see Elgersma, he's very happy to send it vertically early on here. He wants to test that Western secondary.
Well, Kojo Odum, you think about a guy who was in the All-Canadian conversation back in 2021, doesn't play in 2022 or 2023, and now he's back on this Western defense playing that boundary corner spot, gets the one-on-one with Jace Atkinson, and Laurier just can't connect.
59-yard touchdown pass to Tayshawn Jackson on Laurier's opening drive. Now they face 2nd down and 10 from their own 22. For the first time this entire day, the crowd quiets down, recognizing the situation as Elgersma steps up and through in the pocket. Looks to run, puts his head down, takes a big shot that time, and looks like he's right next to the sticks, and they'll move him for a Laurier first down. So the leading passer in the country, over 330 yards per game, using his legs that time.
Well, how poised is he in the pocket? Just steps up away from pressure, sees the open running lane, and when you're 6'6", 225 and you run like that, you have to have supreme confidence in your ability to get 10 yards. And Taylor Elgersma isn't a quarterback who's going to slide Marshall. He's going to drop his shoulder and pick up as many yards as he can.
Makes me feel so small standing next to him as he wins OUA MVP each of the last 2 years on the stage at Tim Hortons Field, as he did once again this week as the top player in the conference. Has handed off inside this time. Pick up a gain of 3, maybe 4 on the play. Sets up manageable situations. And for this Western defense, they list their depth chart essentially as playing a 30-man front, right? Having those 3 defensive linemen. But as we see a Mustang go down for just a second here, it looks like that is Malcolm Fraser in the middle. But that defense, they want to play a 30. They thought they were a 30. And essentially, as the season's gone on, Greg Marshall said, we just had to figure out who we were. And that Week 4 loss against Laurier taught them a lot.
Yeah, they came out in the 30 front against the Golden Hawks in the regular season. And there you see a really good push from that interior of the offensive line for the Golden Hawks. Lambert Palmerlow, Cody Blackshaw, and Josh Rietveld. And yeah, Western had to look at themselves in the mirror and say, maybe we're not as deep at linebacker as we thought we were. Maybe we can't drop into 9-man coverage against Taylor Elgersma like we thought we could. So let's switch to a 40 front, try and get some organic pressure on him, not bringing the exotic blitzes with just 4 down linemen who have really elevated their play as the season's gone on in Soren Holschmidt and Max von Muhldorfer. Good play there for a gain of 4, and Laurier in a second and manageable.
Good to see Malcolm Fraser off in his own power here as Elgersma looks to work on 2nd and 6. Quick drop, wants to rip it out to Jace Atkinson. He does, who nice forward, and it's another Laurier first down out to, let's see where they spot it, just beyond the 45.
I don't think that was Taylor Elgersma's first read, Marshall. Jace Atkinson wide open on that hook route immediately. We'll watch Taylor's eyes here. Looking down the pipe right at him. Allows Western to close on the football, but unable to make the tackle. Mustangs and Ryan Barthelson, the Simon Fraser transfer, and Laurier picks up another first down.
Elgersma checking at the line of scrimmage here. As might have called 2 plays in the huddle, shifting off to the second it looked like, changing it up. A little bit of a delay, fake run. Now he's going to try and use his own legs and stacked up immediately. Right there in the middle, Angelo Longo forcing the MVP back, tossing him down. No flag on the play. And a big defensive stop from the Mustangs there on first.
Laurier trying to go with the play action. Elgersma, maybe a design quarterback run there on a quarterback power. But Angelo Longo, like you mentioned, 6'3", 300 pounds just wraps up Elgersma, and there's nowhere to go when a guy that big gets a hold of you.
I kind of get the sense that Elgersma salivating when he gets put in second and long early on in this ball game. Coming up on 5 minutes remaining in the opening quarter, 7-7 after fireworks back and forth to begin. Now trying to rip it into a tight window, and somehow past the outstretched arms of Jordan Murphy. The catch is hauled in by Laomi Ojatalayo. What a great shot that time from Elgersma.
We've already seen Ojatalayo with a big special teams tackle. This time he has to work back to this ball. Like you mentioned, tight window, and a great job by Ojatalayo. He had problems early in his career dropping footballs, not there.
They'll swing it out on a little bubble screen here. Ethan Jordan gets his hands on the rock and immediately gets another first down. Speed to the sideline, firing up that Laurier bench as he sprints beyond for a gain of 14.
Another great play by this Laurier offense, getting the ball in playmakers' hands. Swing pass out for Taylor Elgersma. This here is the Laomi Ojatalayo catch to pick up the first down. And then on that play, Ojatalayo with the block to allow Jordan to get the sideline and a first down.
So many weapons here from Atkinson to Murphy being in the lineup. Obviously Ethan Jordan, Raiden Thorne down today, not in this ball game, but they are backfilling comfortably early on as now they'll go to the ground. And there is Tayshawn Jackson, the touchdown maker through the air as he gets another first down on the ground.
Tayshawn Jackson scored his first OUA rushing touchdown against the Mustangs. And this is a position Laurier is comfortable with going with the small running back from Windsor. He gets it on the draw play and goes right up the middle. And if you give Tayshawn Jackson time and space, he's going to be able to make guys miss. And that time we see a big pickup for the Golden Hawks offense. And Tayshawn Jackson just following the strong play of what's been great offensive line play to begin the game for the Golden Hawks.
Malcolm Fraser, we saw him banged up earlier on in this drive. Now Angelo Longo, who had the great first down play on Taylor Elgersma, takes a knee, and the training staff for Western comes out to get a better look at him as well, as we see the defense standing around there after trying to find a way to stop the bleeding. It's amazing, the second down conversion rate already early on for Elgersma in a total rhythm.
Well, it's interesting too because we talk about that game week 4 in the regular season between these two teams. First two drives of the game for the Laurier offense, they go down, they score. Both times they had to convert on second and longs. They had a 2nd and 17 that Laomi Ojatalayo got it down to the goal line, and then Ethan Jordan scored on a 72-yard touchdown on 2nd and 17. So the Golden Hawks not shy from 2nd and longs, Marshall.
Jake Unstead checks in from Victoria, BC, third-year social sciences student for the injured Longo. As on 1st and 10 after the Tayshawn Jackson run, Elgersma looks to the corner, hanging it up high and knocked away. That one caught a little bit of wind, and it also caught a little bit of Jackson Finley's recovery speed.
Ryan Hughes was wide open on this break on the throw from Taylor Elgersma. Elgersma's going to throw off to the right side of your screen, and like you said, this ball just hangs up. And when you give a chance for the best defensive player in the conference and arguably in the country to close in on a ball like that, Jackson Finley gets his arm in there and knocks it away from Ryan Hughes, who's thrown into the starting lineup because of the injury to Raiden Thorne.
2nd down and 10 here. The Golden Hawks passing attack. 180 completions in the regular season, second to only McMaster on the season, with a great year for Keegan Hall as Elgersma rolls to his right, looks down the field across his body, hauled in, touchdown Laurier, Ryan Hughes into the end zone. And after Western blew up the opening drive with their ground attack, it's back-to-back touchdowns in the first quarter for Taylor Elgersma.
This is just quarterback and receiver looking at each other saying, don't worry, I got you on this play. Elgersma has to step up. He gets pressure off the edge, able to step up in the pocket and squeeze that into a tight window with Connor Franzisi right underneath of Ryan Hughes. And Hughes, who matched his regular season production with 3 catches for 52 yards and a touchdown last week in the semifinal against board for their second drive of the game, and now a 7-point lead.
Hodge hammers through the extra point. What a great job by Taylor Elgersma, and the offense coming back. They lead 14-7 over the Western Mustangs. by BioSteel, the official hydration partner of the OUA. By Bud Light. Bud Light, drink responsibly. And by Wilson, the official football of the OUA. And welcome back to Knight Newborough Field. Here's the 1991 and 2005 Vanier Cup champion Wilfred Laurier Golden Hawks. Dreams of another Vanier Cup in their future just down the road 2 weeks from today. It will be in Kingston, Ontario, hosted by the Queen's Gales for the second season in a row. And after this game, it'll be on to the UTEC Bowl against the AUS for the winner of this matchup. Laurier, all the momentum in the world right now. And you get the sense it just takes one drive, one hiccup like we saw from the last Mustangs offensive possession to change the tide completely in this one, as Kabongo will get his hands on the football just outside the 5-yard line and crosses up to about the 23-24 before he's hauled down once again. So out comes Evan Hillock and that Mustangs offense looking to get back into that rhythm we found on the first drive.
Yeah, first drive was absolutely incredible for Western. Keanu Yazbek capped it off with a 62-yard touchdown run. Keon Edwards with 3 carries for 29 yards already in the game. But that last drive ended with a punt and Laurier able to get points. Western looking for a response here late in the first quarter, Marshall.
Yazbek lines up behind Evan Hillock on 1st and 10. They'll hand it off inside. And defensive tackle at a number right there, 94. Andre Butte did a wonderful job stacking up 2 blockers, trying to fight off that double team and fought it off right into the middle of the play.
Well, that's a great job by Andre Butte. We talked about Ethan Gregorczyk off the top. Well, his best friend and high school teammate, Andre Butte, able to change his gap and get in the way of Keanu Yazbek and limit that gain to just 3 yards for a 2nd and 7.
So again, another 2nd and long here for the Mustangs as they'll motion Braden Masseri down. Hand it off once again. Yazbek dancing, trying to jump cut his way to a first down. He's not going to get to the 30, and the punting unit will have to come out once again. So another 2 and out here unless they want to risk it and go, but they won't. They'll send out the punting unit, which again includes Jackson Finley coming off the sidelines.
While in Western just not getting anything to go on that series, Keanu Yazbek tries to cut it to the outside. Good job in leverage by the Golden Hawks. Not trying to shoot in and make the tackle, just forcing him back to where the players are. And Greg Marshall can just look on at his offense going 2 and out on back-to-back series after an opening series where they capped it off with a touchdown.
They told us the importance of the first quarter. Run first, team. Get behind, you got to throw it more. Don't love having to do that. Well, he's trying to keep him honest and run it on 2nd down, but no dice there as Tayshawn Jackson gets this one, assesses the situation from his own 30, decides that going right is the right call. Stutter steps, cuts back, and after all that, just a gain of 9 yards on the return, but Jackson dangerous as ever and hauls it in as Tanner Nelms leads the Wilfred Laurier offense off the sideline. As we see the numbers for Taylor Elgersma and the man who's been bringing him up to speed, best seasons that they've had in OUA play. And this really speaks to the development of Michael Faltz, taking his understanding, his knowledge and journey, and being able to apply it to Taylor Elgersma and how great he's been over the last couple of seasons and continues to grow and grow with every single snap that he takes. Is already 2 touchdown passes in this first quarter. 3 receivers to the left of Elgersma. Takes a deep drop this time. He loads it up on a little double move down the seam, and Ethan Jordan just couldn't track it down in the Waterloo sun.
Well, that's a fun matchup there. Ethan Jordan one-on-one with Richard Adubafor, 2 OUA first-team All-Stars. Ethan Jordan had a step, but again, like we saw in the Tayshawn Jackson touchdown, Elgersma doesn't want to put it in a spot to allow Western to make a play on the ball. First time these 2 teams played, Marshall, Laurier didn't turn it over. Western turned it over twice, and the Golden Hawks scored 14 points off of those turnovers. Laurier wants to keep it out of the hands of Western and not force the momentum shift.
What an awesome environment here. The Golden Hawks playing at home up against the Mustangs, who have traveled well, and a handoff on the inside going nowhere. Excellent job that time fighting off the block. Looks like that was Von Mueldorfer, who is known for doing that, playing inside the defensive tackle spot. Greg Marshall basically yesterday just kind of shrugged and said, yeah, he's a monster. We lean on him for everything. He makes us better.
Oh, this defensive line is so important for the Western Mustangs, and Laurier pulling a page from Western, trying to run it on 2nd and long. unable to get anything to go. Van Muhldorfer, Connor Franzisi in there for the Mustangs, and they force Laurier to punt for the first time.
Send it away is a little bit of pressure on Dawson Haji. Hammers this one way high into the sky, and finally Kabongo gets his hands on it after it drops down. But again, the coverage teams all over it. Has great battles on specials. Feels like laying down some CFL draft film for a lot of these guys, the way that they're battling right now.
Laomi Ojatalayo again on special teams, making the tackle, already with a catch in this one for the Laurier offense for a gain of 16. 2 special teams tackles in coverage. Laurier's cover team, one of the most underrated teams in terms of that in the conference. Very good at limiting returns. They were against a phenomenal returner last week in Ian St. Arnaud from the Queens Gales, and they limited him very, very well, and they're doing it already to start this one against Western.
Almost 400 more yards for that Queens punt return game than anybody else in the OUA this year, thanks to their return unit that's been able to put it together. Both these teams would love to bust the game open with a special touchdown, as there's an injured, looks like Mustang, down on the field. And is that Keon Edwards in the middle? As the veteran.
Keon Edwards just takes the handoff up the middle, realizes he has to go right up the gut, and then as Abraham Odiasi grabs a hold of him and the pile falls on top of him, Keon Edwards slow to get off the turf here. We mentioned already the 2022 OUA MVP, 1,000-yard rusher in that season, helped Western win a Vanier Cup in 2021. Really just continuing that strong trend of elite running backs from the Western Mustangs program, but good to see him getting off the field and running off under his own power.
So Yazbek goes into the huddle here after being stopped last drive for Western on second down with an off-tackle run to the right. We'll see where they decide to go with this one, as Evan Hillock waiting for his chance to shine the way that Taylor Elgersma has early on in this ball game. Some cross-ball motion. They hand it off. Yazbek cuts to the left-hand side again and looks like short by a couple of yards. And at the bottom of the pile, once again, it is number 77, Chisenham Insitim.
Greg Marshall can be one of those coaches that likes to run gambles, but in the first quarter, down by 7 on your own 33 and needing 2, they're going to elect to punt this one away to the Golden Hawks. And a second and medium. Laurier, the way this game started, you know Western's going to be running that football. That's where they have been able to gash you on the defensive side for the Golden Hawks. So Ron Van Moorkirk loads the box, and he gets a stop on 3rd and 2 and forcing Western to punt again.
Last chance in this quarter to use the wind at their back as well and try and flip the field position. So we'll see here if Griffiths can hammer a bit of a sidewinder, but it does drop down, and that'll be no yards. Inside the 5-yard restricted is Tayshawn just flips it seamlessly from right hand to left hand on the run. Goes backwards a little bit, but the no yards will clear that up for him. And at the end of the first quarter of play here in the 116th Yates Cup, powered by BioSteel, the home team, Wilfred Laurier Golden Hawks, they have the advantage, 14-7 after it opened with a Yazbek major, but the air attack alive and well here in Waterloo.
When the game gets real, drink BioSteel.
your team this season. A refreshing taste that's easy to enjoy. Bud Light.
And welcome back to Waterloo and Knight Newbro Field here as they ran a final play actually during the break there, and then looks like they're flipping things over at this point, so the quarter time has officially been taken. But looking back at what we saw in that first quarter of action, Taylor Elgersma came basically as advertised here. Jack understood, obviously, he needed to step up in a big way, make some big plays down the field, because you know Western's going to try and wear you out as the game goes on. He's taken advantage of his opportunities so far. The question for me becomes, up front, how in the world can Western get any pressure on him to try and get him off his spot?
Well, it's interesting because we talked to Greg Marshall this week, and he said we can't allow Taylor Elgersma to get in rhythm, and Elgersma 5 of 8 for 122 yards and 2 touchdowns. This is the big 62-yard touchdown run from Keanu Yazbek. Set the tone on the first drive of the game for the Western Mustangs. Outruns everybody. You get another look. Great block on the interior by Alex Berwick, the starting center for the Mustangs, outrunning Jahari Hastings, the first-team OUA All-Star. But here we see Taylor Elgersma, after Western decided not to kick to Tayshawn Jackson, Elgersma finds him down the field for a long strike of 59 yards. And then this one, he steps up in the pocket after he missed Ryan Hughes on a floater that Jackson Finley got a piece of. Elgersma finds Ryan Hughes on the next play, and the Golden Hawks on their first 2 drives find the end zone and have a 14-7 lead after going down 7-0 on the first drive of the game.
I love that from Elgersma, running back towards the bench, just telling them, keep going. Why would we stop? Just keep scoring. That's all you need next time we get the ball. We're going right down again, though. They've had a couple of slower drives since those 2 touchdown passes, but as it stands right now, they've got a second down, and looks like about 3 yards to go. Elgersma hands it off. Tanner Nelms wants to get north-south very quickly, and they move the pile once again. The left side of that Golden Hawk offensive line, creating a crease for Nelms that he runs through quickly, and now he'll come out with Darian Basic-Hayden coming in.
Well, a little center pull there. You saw number 66 in the middle of your screen, Cody Blackshaw, turned 19 years old at the end of August. Very, very young. He took over as an 18-year-old as a starting center in 2023 for the Golden Hawks, and that's really when Laurier found the rhythm offensively, is when he settled things down in the middle of the offensive line, opens up a crease, a gain of 6 for Nelms, and a first down for Laurier.
They'll send out a tight end here and a running back to the wide side, then drag Hughes back across the formation as he makes a man miss. Now a second, and gets pushed out of bounds by Riley McLeod. Creative play calling that time from Michael Falls. All receivers to the left-hand side. Drew the eyes away and then hit a little crosser coming back.
Little bit of a flood route there for Laurier, looking to go off to the right. And then you see Max Harris, one of the fullbacks, former offensive lineman. He dropped 40 pounds 2 years ago to switch to that fullback position. He gets in the way of the Western defender and opens up a lane for Ryan Hughes to pick up the first down. And Laurier now at the Western 29.
First quarter plus, Ryan Hughes feels like he's been the playmaker for this offense on the other end of Taylor Elgersma, who rolls to his right again. Looks like he wanted to throw. Now he's got some room. And once again, Elgersma puts down the shoulder, tries to roll his way forward, get as much as he possibly can. Little conversation there as he gets back up with Ryan Barthelson giving chase.
Ryan Barthelson, a very phenomenal defensive player for this Western defense. Had 10 solo tackles and a tackle for a loss in the Week 4 game against the Golden Hawks. And like we mentioned earlier, not afraid to slide. He wants to drop his shoulder. He likes contact. The more angry he plays, the better he plays, Marshall. It's really an incredible thing to see with a quarterback of this stature for the Golden Hawks.
Max Harris checks out. Parsalidis, the fullback, in the formation. His little run fake here. Elgersma rips it to the corner once again, went back to the well, and did he haul it in? Touchdown! Make it 3 for Elgersma.
His favorite target, it's Ethan Jordan, and he's one-on-one with Jackson Finley, and Elgersma waits. He has time in the pocket. Great job by the Laurier offensive line. Steps up, and he throws this corner route. Ethan Jordan gets separation on the stand-up defensive player of the year and a future first-round pick to the Canadian Football League. He made a play on Ryan Hughes earlier on a similar play. He just missed a perfectly placed ball by the back-to-back OUA MVP, and the Golden Hawks are off and running.
Now, we thought that Laurier was going to try to work the edges of the field away from Jackson Finley because you don't want to go straight at the big man. He's too good to do that, but I didn't necessarily anticipate them trying to target him in man coverage on corner routes early on. They've done it 3 times.
Well, if you want to be the big dog, you got to go at the big dog, and Jackson Finley is the guy. We talked to Greg Marshall, and it felt like every question we asked him, everything came back to Jackson Finley.
Yeah.
Jackson Finley, great defensive player. We ask a question about an offensive player, and it comes back to Jackson Finley. And Laurier not scared of him. They know that they have weapons. Ethan Jordan, first 1,000-yard receiver in the history of Laurier football. You think about that, Marshall. Think about Curly Gittens Jr. playing for this program. You think about Dante Luciani and Andy Beckler and Steph Potasic, the now head coach at McMaster, your head coach when you played there. All those guys, nobody had 1,000 yards. This is a guy who does, and he makes a big touchdown catch at the start of the second quarter for the Golden Hawks to take a 14-point lead on the Western Mustangs.
Yeah, I still giggle when I see that picture, the headshot of 91 Potasic here at Laurier. It's a glorious photo if you get a chance to look it up for yourselves at home. As this one kicked off down to Kabongo inside the 10-yard line. Western looking for life, stacked up, thrown back. As Jaden Griffiths, starting outside linebacker, downfield on special teams coverage, makes the play. And now Evan Hill comes off the sidelines, and Western needs to get the wheels turning.
Well, Western found success on the first drive of the game by running the football, down by 14. This is interesting, Marshall, because we talked to Greg Marshall before the game yesterday, and we said, you know, what is the identity of your team? What's been the driver? And he said, when you go down by 2 scores, you have to start throwing the football.
Yeah.
That's not what we do. We run the football. Western's not a team that's built to come from behind from a 14-point deficit, but they're going to try and keep going with the rushing attack still in the first half.
Well, this is one way to do it. Get the extended running game going with a quick throw outside, and the explosive receiver McIntosh here making the play out of Pickering, Ontario in his first year. You can see the quicks there. They'd like to get him the football as much as possible, is slowly up back onto his feet. That time is Alex Berwick, the center, making his way out, trying to get downfield. But, man, the quickness there in McIntosh.
You see the shiftiness. Dasani McIntosh, he spent some time at a JUCO in New Mexico, some time in a JUCO in California. He comes back to Canada, being from the Durham region, and he really had his breakout game against Laurier in Week 4 to say Western has a guy.
Hillock looks to throw again, tries to lead Mohsen Jamal up the field, but off the mark that time. Coverage supplied by Cote on the outside, incomplete.
You're the quarterback, Marshall. You can kind of correct me if I'm wrong here, but when a quarterback starts to sense pressure in the pocket and step away, if you're a shallow receiver, you go deep. If you're a deep receiver, you go shallow. If you're medium, you work towards the way the quarterback's rolling. Mohsen Jamal, shallow receiver in the flat, he works back to the line of scrimmage. Hillock tries to lead him up the field, and an incompletion forces a 2nd and 10.
Wholesale changes on the Laurier defensive line. We'll talk more about that throughout the afternoon as fresh bodies into pass rush. It's a run fake. Hillock looks outside, comeback route, and is it hauled in? Yes. Catch is good up at the 50-yard line. First down for the Mustangs, and it feels like that took everything from play calling to execution to a great catch in order to move the sticks.
Well, Western likes to take their shots downfield when they get one-on-one coverage. Great by Mohsen Jamal. He hits Malik Cote, top of the route, hard back to the sideline on the break. Evan Hillock hits him. First down for the Mustangs.
Inside run, they do go back to the ground attack here. Keon Edwards back in the game and chopped down, flying in that time. There was Mateo Lacontina in the OUA all-rookie team out of Hamilton, making his way here to the purple and gold.
Good job making that tackle. Keon Edwards so explosive, able to make guys miss. He makes the first man miss. Jahari Hastings finishes the job. The Western Mustangs now in its 2nd and manageable, 2nd and 4 here. Really full playbook at their disposal.
Tighten it down on that left-hand side. That's where they'll try to run, is trying to get to the 50-yard line. And looked like Edwards was just shy. So now they'll send out Coleman, the extra fullback, and Jerome Rancourt, the backup, the big body. Comes off the sideline out of Quebec City, 6'5", 248 pounds. And just across the 55, the Mustangs will go.
Short, one of the best short yardage quarterbacks in the country. Big body, 250 pounds, and Western's offensive line so good. Greg Marshall has confidence in this play.
Full house. Rancourt looks like he got stacked up never got it turning. Tried to lean to the left-hand side, and the body language not great for the Mustangs immediately. As Wilfred Laurier looks like they've gotten a stop here. 3rd downs on the season. They've gone for it 28 times. They've made it 20. You can see there, Jack, off to the left-hand side. It looks like Gregorczyk was the one who stepped right into it.
So they're going to bring out the measurement. That line to gain, not quite the Laurier 50-yard line. This ball is a lot closer than initially thought. They're going to bring out the measurement. You brought up Ethan Gregorczyk. First game of his OUA career, the Golden Hawks at New Richardson Stadium in Kingston against the Gales. Short yardage. Ethan Gregorczyk, coming from high school, being an electric athlete, he tried to go over the top every time, and Queens would go right there because it opened up the hole. Now he stuffs Jerome Rancourt in the hole, and the measurement will determine whether it's going to be a first down for the Mustangs or a turnover on downs and Golden Hawk ball.
And it is short. First down, Laurier. The defense gets a stop. Taylor Elgersma with 3 touchdown passes has the football near midfield, eyeing his 4th.
Ethan Gregorczyk had his best coverage game of his season last week. His best complete game of the season for the Golden Hawks was in week 4 against the Mustangs. This is a 19-year-old kid who steps up in big moments. 6'3", 240 pounds, and supreme athlete, making his mark on this game in the early going of the second quarter, Marshall.
Up 14 pounds from last year. He's got CFL written all over him as Elgersma gives it to Jackson this time. A little jet sweep inside, and the Western defense stands tall, running sideways, and immediately Elgersma dives back into his wristband there, and looks like he's saying, yeah, okay, give me the play that I want. I want to get after it right now and take another shot.
Laurier trying to get their playmaker the ball in space. Tayshawn Jackson, jet sweep. And you see him coming from the right side of your screen off to the left. Great job by the Western Mustangs. You see 2 guys forcing him back to the inside where the big bodies are for Western. Tayshawn Jackson can make guys miss, but he's not a big body. He goes down when he gets contact.
How aggressive with a 2-score lead will Michael Faulds and the Golden Hawks be here? Well, Ojatalayo with the first down catch as he wraps it up and is thrown down, but forward progress. Good for the first down. Tight window again. Man, the quick release on Elgersma to go with the strength of that arm is such a great combination.
You see the Western Mustang fans not happy there. Laurier converts on another 2nd and long, and once again making a timely play is Laomi Ojatalayo. Not a guy that gets a lot of love in the receiving corps. Like we mentioned off the top, special teams captain. He's really a leader of this group, and when the plays are most important, he's the one to make them. Taylor Elgersma very confident throwing him the ball without his number 2 target in the game in Raiden Thorne.
All 3 running backs in on this snap as Jackson goes up the left-hand side. They fake it to Basic Hayden and go backside screen. Brian Hughes got a bit of a tunnel, and he makes his way all the way down to the 30, ripping at the football and trying to get it out, but Hughes hangs on, riding the pile all the way down to the 31-yard line. So again, Michael Faulds, little show and go. Mix the personnel, mix the run fake, and then a simple little screen.
Laurier loves that formation. All 3 running backs. We mentioned already the change of pace they have. 3 very different running backs. And then they run their favorite play for Raiden Thorne to Ryan Hughes, who's taking over for Thorne on that tunnel screen, getting the offensive lineman out in space. Hughes makes the catch, gets upfield, a gain of 17, and the Golden Hawks on the Western 31-yard line.
Hughes out of Our Lady of Mount Carmel and Mississauga. This time he'll run block as Tanner Nelms pounds it inside. Gain of around 5 on the play, and right on the edge of the score zone once again here for Wilfred Laurier, trying to sort out what personnel package they want to send in. Parcelidis comes back into the ball game, and alongside Max Harris as well. You mentioned that. I'm sure that's going to be one of those CFL draft intriguing frames, and Harris being 6'5", 227. What you do with him in situations like this, nobody knows, as he lines up at right tight end.
Well, he was also a former offensive lineman, so you know the blocking schematics are there already in his form.
Elgersma looks left. Now he steps forward into traffic. Ojatalayo on the receiving end is bouncing off 2 tacklers. Now a 3rd running away, trying to reach for the end zone. And he'll be down inside the 5-yard line. And what did Michael Faulds tell us about yards after the catch with Laomi Ojatalayo? Basically said, we just need to stop coaching him. Let him do whatever he wants.
Well, Laomi Ojatalayo had a catch last week where you thought he should have cut up the field. He scores a touchdown off of it. This time, Elgersma getting pressure, might try and run, but Western defender steps up into the pocket and forces him to throw. Ojatalayo makes the catch, bounces it to the outside. Golden Hawks players call him DK Metcalf, 6'3", 200 pounds, and shredded. He makes a couple men miss and then gets it down to the 3-yard line.
Taylor Elgersma shows run, gives run. Tanner Nelms walks in. Touchdown, Laurier.
Tanner Nelms, who came in as the team rookie of the year in 2019, gets it on short yardage, 1st and goal from the 3. Again, we can't say enough about how well this Laurier offensive line is playing so far. Cody Blackshaw and Josh Rietveld just opening up that hole down the middle. Nelms walks in untouched, and the Golden Hawks up by 3 scores, Marshall, against the Western Mustangs on home field.
Hodge knocks through the extra point, and it's a gold and purple party here in Waterloo. 28-7 trying to take down the 3-time defending Yates Cup champions from London.
Every yard, every hit, every second. It's earned out here. This game demands more than just skill. It demands fuel. The right fuel. Because out here, it's not just about how hard you work. It's about how long you keep going. When the game gets real, drink Bile Still.
Where exceptional student athletes are born. Where records are broken. Where great plays are made. Where school colors ignite passion. Where champions prevail. Where tradition is celebrated. Ontario University Athletics.
You don't think that's too cheetah looking? Does that look cheetah looking?
No.
No matter your team this season, a refreshing taste that's easy to enjoy. Bud Light.
When the game gets real, drink Bio Steel.
$2. The Laurier football program, thanks to the Score and Win Challenge. And Peter challenges you.
Welcome back to Waterloo, the 116th Yates Cup, presented and powered by BioSteel. Taylor Elgersma in this game right now with a 28-7 lead. The quarterback, the 2-time back-to-back MVP of the OUA, 11 of 14 for 210 yards and 3 touchdowns. No interceptions as Western gets the football back. A great kickoff this time. Drops down to Kabongo at his own 2-yard line. Running room right up the middle until he is met. Nice special teams tackle that time. Looks like Malik Cote was the one that got there.
Well, on that return, Malik Cote just waits for the lead blocker to go right down the middle of the field as Evan Hillock has to come back out. His team down 21 points, starting on his own 28-yard line. Week 4, 24-point deficit with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter for the Western Mustangs. And Hillock was able to find the end zone twice at the end of that football game, but Western in a position that Western's not used to. When was the last time the Western Mustangs have been down by 3 scores in a football game, Marshall? It's really something we haven't seen all that recently. Week 4 against the Laurier Golden Hawks was the last time it happened, but other than that, this isn't a situation Western's used to being in. And now, Evan Hillock, who is right toe-to-toe with Taylor Elgersma for the OUA MVP last season, now has to try and make something happen here to shift the momentum back to his team.
Daniel Kabongo was down on the field after the return. Makes his way over to the sideline. So we'll keep an eye on the return game for the Mustangs, as here Hillock looks to throw on first down. Puts those feet together nice and tight, tried to squeeze one into a tight window. And a nice catch on the other end. Seth Robertson, who Greg Marshall told us this week is as healthy as you can be at this point in the season. They'll move the chains with Robertson through the air.
Great job on that combo route there by Western. Robertson the underneath route, and Hillock does a good job fitting that ball into a tight window for Seth Robertson, who's been very limited in the playoffs so far.
High snap, Hillock gets it down, tries to sidearm one this time, rip it into Robertson. They'll say no, incomplete. Backside official flying in. That's Richard Book, the line judge, made the call. And so it will be second down. But we saw a little bit of hurry up from Western as well, Jack, on that last series. You kind of get the sense for them it's getting late early, right? Like they understand the time to score the situation, and it's not as though they're not going to get 3 or 4 more possessions, but they absolutely know they got to start moving the football and start doing it fast.
21-point deficit, 5 minutes to go in the first half. And they need to move it down the field and get some scores to get back into it.
Hillock goes to the flats this time. Braden Masseri pushed out of bounds into that Laurier bench. As Jaden Griffiths, big body linebacker flying around, makes the play, and it'll be third down. And it doesn't look like Greg Marshall has any visions of sending out the kicking unit.
3rd and 3 here for the Western Mustangs. This is outside of Jerome Rancourt's short yardage territory. We already saw a 3rd down get stuffed from Western. Laurier had 2 big 3rd down stops last week against Queens. Can they do it again here on 3rd and 3?
They'll throw for it. Corner route. Robertson got it at the 30, in the 20, and pushed out of bounds as he goes through the signage. But not only does Western decide to go for it, they gamble with the big shot down the sideline, and Hillock pays off.
First read is the flat, and now we see the corner route from Seth Robertson. He gets past Tristan Miller down the sideline, too far away from Harnur Dhaliwal, the transfer from the University of Ottawa, and Western right into scoring territory here on a big 3rd down play.
Robertson coming alive on this drive. Now they'll give it to McIntosh on the jet sweep as he's hammered trying to turn it up the field. He's cut it back inside, but another nice game. Man, how much did Western need that completion to Seth Robertson?
Well, you could hear the emotion from the sideline and from the Western faithful after that Seth Robertson catch, because Western knows if they're within a possession or 2, they're in a football game. But now, time running down in the first half, they need to find the end zone, down 21 points. A massive play to Seth Robertson and a good gain for 6 yards for Dasani McIntosh on 1st down.
On the sideline with Hillock now as Jerome Rancourt comes in. It is 2nd down and 4, and they're confused on alignment here, and Rancourt signaled timeout. They're asking him not to use it, and now Rancourt will. Yeah, timeout for the Western Mustangs. There's confusion at the line of scrimmage. They changed the personnel package. The backup was in, and Jerome Rancourt with Hillock standing on the sidelines.
Evan Hillock standing with the helmet on top of his head. Jerome Rancourt walking off to the sideline. We mentioned earlier, Laurier's student seat section in behind that end zone. Very intimate crowd here as University Stadium going through renovations. We'll see again the Seth Robertson 3rd and 3 catch down inside the Laurier 20, and just a perfect corner route. This is a guy who missed the quarterfinal against McMaster. He only had 2 snaps on offense last week against the Guelph Griffins. He caught a touchdown, but now as healthy as he can be, as you said, Greg Marshall told us yesterday, and he makes a big play for Western. And Jerome Rancourt stays in at quarterback here on 2nd and 4 from the Laurier 10-yard line.
I feel like the Greg Marshall of Michael Falls era wouldn't have let the backup stay in for another one after having that error, but they go with the quarterback run and tries to get downhill momentum on 2nd and 4. It looks like he's got it. Yes, Kevin Baird, our referee, signals 1st down for the Mustangs here as we roll towards 3.5 minutes remaining in this first half of football between the Mustangs and the Golden Hawks.
Well, real easy to run a quarterback power run when you got a guy 6'5", 250 pounds who just drops his shoulder into. He's bigger than some of the defensive linemen for the Laurier Golden Hawks. That time able to pick up a 1st down, 1st and goal. Rancourt staying in at quarterback as Evan Hillock on the sideline.
Well, the power run package is the choice for Greg Marshall here in the score zone. Rancourt pulls it once again and tripped up. Not sure if he got his feet tangled with the running back or if someone got in there and made the play here, Jack, but
Jaden Griffiths is the closest one there, but yeah, you see Rancourt just trips over his own feet as he tries to step away from the Sam linebacker. Almost like week 4 when we talked to Greg Marshall yesterday and saying anything that could go wrong did go wrong. Typically, Jerome Rancourt very reliable in those situations. 9 touchdowns in the regular season on the ground for the Western backup quarterback, and Evan Hillock back in on 2nd and goal from the 6.
Well, they dabbled into the power run package, and now the base offense back in. Keon Edwards alongside Evan Hillock. Hillock looks to his right, looks to the flats, looks over the middle, comes back to the left-hand side, hangs it up into the end zone. Touchdown Mustangs. It's Mohsen Jamal with the major.
Great job by Evan Hillock. A little bit tentative there. He had his fullback, Sandro Perini, wide open at the flat to the boundary side. He didn't like the look. He rolls off to his left. And like we saw from Ethan Jordan on Jackson Finley, this time it's Western's number 4, Mohsen Jamal, against Ethan Bayfield. And the Western Mustangs able to convert on a big drive that really pulls them back into this game after the Laurier with a hot start.
Well, the chests were puffed out pretty good after the opening drive that saw Kiana Yesbeck score a major. It's been about 45 minutes to an hour since we ended up having that celebration on the sideline, but finally a little bit of life on the Western sidelines. As the award winners in 2024, the OUA Awards this past Thursday back at Tim Hortons Field. And it was, of course, as we talked about, the OUA MVP going to Taylor Elgersma of the Wilfred Laurier Golden Hawks. He's shown exactly why he was able to get that locked down. But Larry Haler MVP goes to Elgersma. The David Tuffy Knight Award fitting goes to Michael Fultz. President's Award, Jackson Finley. Eric Anderson, we talked about with the JP Metris. And Assistant Coach of the Year as well goes to PJ Edgeworth. So plenty of recognition here for these two clubs.
Yeah, Taylor Elgersma back-to-back MVP for the first time since 2002, 2003 when Tommy Dennison did it. Michael Fultz, first Laurier coach to win back-to-back Coach of the Years since Gary Jeffries, who did it from 2003 to 2005, and then Western, we know the prolific players they have on their roster, well deserving of those awards this season.
As Ethan Jordan gets the return here across the 25-yard line. And Elgersma returns to the field. 2:42 remaining, 3 touchdowns on the day. The force supplied by Tanner Nelms after they mixed up their own personnel packages, going with a little bit more of a run-heavy look with multiple running backs.
Well, we talked about not letting Taylor Elgersma get in rhythm. Ethan Jordan, 2 catches for 30 yards and a touchdown in this one. And the Golden Hawks offense looking to keep this momentum going into half and try and respond after Western with a strong offensive drive to get back in the end zone.
Elgersma with 5 wide around him. Rips to the left-hand side. And it's hauled in there once again. Hughes adding it up on the stat sheet here this afternoon, as that'll be his 4th catch of the ball game and up around 75 yards already in this first half.
Well, OUA first team All-Star out of the lineup in Raiden Thorne. In steps Ryan Hughes, who Michael Fultz says of all the guys he's ever thrown to, Ryan Hughes might have the biggest catch radius.
How about Fultz still ripping it?
Fultz can still, have you looked at him? He can still rip it. He can still slay.
He said to me, he's like, hey, you must love still throwing. I'm like, if I throw more than a tennis ball, my arm's going to fall off, essentially. So he said, well, yeah, I go and throw with my guys when we don't have quarterbacks. And then I said, okay, so you've thrown to them, you know them as well as Taylor does, so give me the breakdown on all your receivers. And he said, well, we got the yak guy here in Ojapalao, we got the range guy in Hughes, we got the quarterback friendly, looking at Stabbings, Jace Atkinson's got that. When he went through that list, I'm like, you really have thrown to them. It sounds like he's been ripping it day after day with them.
Yeah, well, Michael Fultz still able to do it after playing his final year in 2009 for Western. And when he gives praise like that to a receiver, you have to listen.
Elgersma playing here on 1st and 10, steps forward in the pocket, pressure on! And the man in the middle all season long who's made the plays, Max Van Muhldorfer, gets home on Taylor Elgersma, 2nd and long coming up.
Maybe just the 2nd time today that we've seen Western's defensive line get the better of the Laurier offensive line. First coming off the edge, it was Connor Franzisi. Elgersma was forced to step up in the pocket because of the pressure from the edge, and then the big body in the middle, 285-pound Max Van Muhldorfer. making the sack and forcing a 2nd and 14 here for the Golden Hawks.
4 receivers to the right of Elgersma. He signals a little Superman ripping the chest open here. Now it's tipped in! Is it intercepted? They'll say Western football. Soren Hallschmidt comes up with the rock. And the Wilson goes right back to Western after they get momentum. And this is getting to be a slippery slope at the end of the first half for Laurier.
Soren Hallschmidt finished 4th in the OUA in sacks this season with 4.5. This time he drops out into coverage, sees the screen going off to the boundary for the Golden Hawks. Elgersma tries to get it above him, but the 6'2", 245-pound defensive lineman gets his big mid on it. Looked like it was going to fall to the turf, but how about that athleticism for the 4th year from Toronto in the criminology major to be able to find it as he's falling down to the turf and haul it in and give Western the ball at the Laurier 34 as Mohsen Jamal down on the turf now for the Mustangs.
Yeah, some confusion coming off the sideline here with the sudden change in the turnover. I'm not sure Western was expecting, especially a defensive lineman, to go and get himself an interception in this one. So Hillock came out and then Mohsen Jamal took a knee. And so they'll take a look at him as the quarterback continues to warm himself up in conversation on that Western sideline. Exactly what they want to do here, but certainly momentum on their side with 2:10 left in the first half.
Well, this is where we talked about, Marshall. Laurier got 14 points off 2 Western turnovers in week 4. They didn't turn the ball over. What can Western do now, having picked off Taylor Elgersma and forcing a turnover from the Laurier Golden Hawks offense in really good field positioning after a drive where they converted on a 3rd and 3 to get it down inside the red zone and cap it off with a Mohsen Jamal touchdown. So Western has to feel good and confident after their last time out, but this is where points off turnovers are going to be super important for this Western Mustangs offense moving forward.
And visibly, you can tell, you take a look around, the student section's a little quieter. There's less towels in the air. It's a little bit more relaxed here for the Mustangs offense to operate. We'll see what they can do as Hillock looks over the middle again, knifes it in between coverage, and somehow Robertson on the exact same page as Hillock again.
Very tight window there for Evan Hillock. Gets that past Jesse Wilkins, trying to get back in coverage and extend to that point, and underneath Harnoor Dhaliwal. Great throw by the Mustangs quarterback.
Missouri crosses the formation as a lead blocker here for Yazbek, trying to stretch it to the right. And downhill, good tackle made out on that sideline. And Greg Marshall, big believer in trying to get teams to play with heavy boxes and get man coverage. Well, down here inside the score zone is typically where you end up finding that. As Mohsen Jamal looks like might have come back too soon, has to wait one more play, the officials are saying, to the Western sideline. So now it's 2nd down and 5 yards to go. Wind in the face of Hillock going this direction at Knight Newborough Field in the 116th Yates Cup as Yazbek bouncing off tacklers into the end zone. Back-to-back touchdown drives for the Western Mustangs.
We talked about scoring points off turnovers, and Western makes no mistake as you feel the life coming back to the Western sideline and support section here at University Stadium. Keanu Yazbek gets his 2nd touchdown rush of the game and pulls Western back within a touchdown.
3 touchdown passes for Taylor Elgersma, 2 rushing touchdowns for Keanu Yazbek. It ain't even halftime.
We knew we were expecting an explosive game, as now we're seeing Western starting to feel it. Alex Berwick, first-team OUA All-Star, comes off to the sideline, and the big man leading the way on that Keanu Yazbek touchdown run, hyping up the crowd, the support section for Western. And you have to feel good if you're Western, getting the interception, converting on points off turnovers, and really getting the momentum back on your side in what felt like it could be a runaway. And think back to that 3rd and 3 to Seth Robertson. If Laurier gets the ball back and goes and scores, this game might be over at this point, Marshall. But resilience from this Western Mustangs team, what we've come to know from Greg Marshall and his squads, and they're right back in it.
I wonder if Olivier Griffiths will hang this one high into the wind once again. Parsalidis, the fullback, is the one standing in the spot they've been hooking it up into. as they do decide to hammer it down the field. Ethan Jordan, and they'll go chase him. Great kickoff that time by Olivier Griffiths as Jordan tries to get to the outside edge and pushed out of bounds. So everyone does their job on that special team snap, and a minute 29 remaining, and all of a sudden a one-score game. And Taylor Elgersma returns to the field after throwing an interception. Didn't have very many on the season. Great touchdown to interception ratio, one of those things that Michael Falls has obviously taken pride coaching into him.
Jacquiano Yazbek there, 6 carries, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns on the game. And now Laurier starting at your own 19-yard line, 90 seconds to go before the end of the first half. You don't want to be too aggressive and give Western back the ball with this momentum shifting back the way of the Mustangs.
Elgersma sticks it into the belly here of Tanner Nelms. Drives the leg, solid gain on first down. A lot of hands on the hips here on the Laurier sideline, trying to figure out a way to get momentum back before half. But I mean, regardless of what happens on this drive, obviously it's important, but you kind of already know what the speech is going to be at halftime from Michael Falls.
Yeah, well,
right?
and you know as much as I do the type of speeches he's able to make to get guys ready to go. And his team letting Western come back into it, but a big 2nd and 3 here in Laurier territory.
They'll go and get it. Nice cutback run that time as Nelms wraps it up. Ball security paramount at this point late in the first half. And again, they lean on the right side of that offensive line behind Blackshaw and Pomerleau and Walsh.
Well, Laurier with an interesting offensive line setup. They play their offensive guards and tackles boundary and field, so they switch sides based on where the ball is.
Is now stepping up. Elgersma looks over the middle. Atkinson, and man, Elgersma knew he almost had another home run. His ability to just step up and find somebody in the middle of coverage 30 yards away is amazing.
I was ready for the lookout as Soren Holschmidt coming off the edge. Taylor Elgersma able to feel that presence coming off the edge and steps up. Jace Atkinson had to step down the middle of the field. He would have been wide open, could have taken it deep into Western territory, but the rare missed deep ball throw from Taylor Elgersma brings up 2nd and 10 from their own 33.
Helms over to the left-hand side of Elgersma as Ethan Jordan goes across the formation, 3-by-2. Looking over the middle, another tight window. Riley McLeod couldn't get there, and Ryan Hughes hauls in another big catch inside a minute remaining.
Ryan Hughes inserting himself well into this football game. So we'll see it again here, just coming over the middle. Ethan Jordan off on the left. He goes to the corner. Ryan Hughes comes underneath on the in route, and Laurier gets a first down.
Quick pass this time, complete. Knifing forward. They get another touch for Ethan Jordan, and Ryan Hughes, fantastic block out in front on that one. Is turbo mode goes this Golden Hawk offense. The defense trying to make a substitution here with Longo making his way off the sideline. I don't believe there were any substitutions from Laurier. And there is an injured Mustang down on the field. Looks like number 97, Marcus Robinson.
Yeah, when the offense doesn't substitute, the defense can't substitute. Longo trying to come onto the field, but you talked about turbo mode for this Laurier offense. It's funny because we talk about Taylor Elgersma, and when he plays angry, he's at his best. When he plays with that chip on his shoulder, he's at his best. When this Laurier offense plays fast, that's when they're at their best, and they're trying to respond after Evan Hillock has put together back-to-back touchdown drives for the Western Mustangs, and trying not to fall to Laurier for a second time this year with just 46 seconds to go in the first half. All he can do is sit and watch as his defense is facing a Laurier 1st and 10 from the Western 44. And Taylor Elgersma, even though he missed that shot down the field to Jace Atkinson, gets the 2 quick outs to Hughes and Jordan and able to get back into a rhythm here late in the first half.
Elgersma, clock rolling. 35 seconds left in the first half. Stands high in the pocket, looks over the top, incomplete. As the first target of the day, trying to find Stebbings. As Jackson Stebbings can't haul it in, and Elgersma turns around and has a quick conversation with Kevin Baird, our referee here today after winning the Officials Award of Merit, named after Ken Green, of course. As Baird in his 31st year of officiating, winning that award in back-to-back seasons. And running the show here today at field level. They'll whistle it in. Elgersma, quick conversation. Turning backwards. to Tanner Nelms, who empties out to the flats. Little underneath throw, and it was off the hands of Ryan Hughes. Elgersma just trying to lead his receiver outside that time, and Hughes couldn't hang on.
You talk about that quick conversation, Marshall. You see Tanner Nelms goes to the flat. Max Nixon follows him immediately. It opens up a hole in that defense for Ryan Hughes underneath, and just not quite on time from Taylor Elgersma, a little bit behind, and we're right on the edge of Dawson Hodge field goal range, even with the wind. Hodge good from about 52, maybe 50, and he'll have to punt this one away.
Yeah, they quick snap it as Hodge hammers it out of bounds, and they'll see where they mark the football. 23 seconds remaining, and how aggressive will the Western Mustangs be? They got to be counting their blessings right now that they are in a one-score football game after being down 28-7 what felt like just minutes ago before back-to-back touchdown drives.
Well, Western putting 14 points on the board in quick succession, capitalizing points off turnovers. We saw Laurier last week against Queens put up 23 points in the final 5 minutes of the second quarter. So both these teams with explosive offenses have a chance. Western pinned back, a great placement punt by Dawson Hodge, down to the Western 14. But a team that can run the ball, they can be dangerous from anywhere on the field.
Go with the reverse this time, fake the inside run and get it to McIntosh. He's chopped down, trying to at least show a different look, maybe even try to force Laurier to think a little bit on the fake reverse later on as Ethan Gregorczyk gets up a little bit slowly, limping around, but appears to be okay. And the middle linebacker for the Golden Hawks gets the call in. Shaking out that right leg. Evan Hillock. Inside handoff, Keon Edwards. Defensive line does their job. And that will be the half. 28-21 is your score. Jack, super entertaining first half of football.
Well, is this not what we wanted?
Yeah.
Is this not what we expected? Evan Hillock puts together back-to-back touchdown drives at the end of the first half for the Western Mustangs. Dead in the water, 3rd and 3 around midfield. The Laurier Golden Hawks, after allowing a touchdown on the first drive of the game, explode for 28 points and really putting it to Western. But the Mustangs getting 2 late touchdowns and now just down by 7 at the half.
Two-time Yates Cup champion and Yates Cup MVP, Michael Faulds, is standing alongside D to talk about the first half for Laurier.
Coach, besides the interception, a very efficient first half for your offense, what did you like? How were you able to execute in the manner that you did?
Yeah, Taylor's doing a great job as always, spreading the ball around. You know, Tayshaun Jackson with catches, Laomi Ojutalayo, Ryan Hughes coming out party. So Taylor's doing a good job. Obviously, you want to win the turnover battle, but we'll get them ready in the second half.
So a similar game script to last year's game. What will you have to tell your guys here at the half?
Well, these are 2 great football programs, so it's going to come down to the final 3 minutes of this game. So a 7-point lead is not safe. We've got to keep our foot on the gas.
Best of luck in the second half, Coach. 28-21 for Laurier at the half. We'll be back after the commercial break.
And welcome back to Waterloo. Halftime here, 28-21. Laurier over Western as it stands right now. Reminder, of course, to get your poppies for Remembrance Day and support your local Legion coming up on November 11th, just a few days away. Get your poppies out and make sure you have them on, as so many people here inside the stadium do. Let's head down to our sideline reporter, Dining Balsara.
All right, back here at University Stadium with the CEO of BioSteel, Dan Crosby, the title sponsor for this year's championship game. Dan, why was it so important for you to get involved with the Yates Cup this season?
You know, it's a great opportunity to get involved with community sports, athletics, the universities, and, athletics across, multiple sports with the OUA.
Now, it's not just football. You've also partnership with OUA on all the sports. Why was it so important for you to get involved with student athletes?
I mean, they're the future of our country. They're the future of our, athletic talent in the country as well, and I want to be a part of it.
Now I'm going to get you to be an analysis. We've had an exciting first half of football here. What do you expect in the second half? And try not to give me the political correct answer here.
Man, watching that score sitting from the sidelines, in the beginning it was a little bit dicey, but Western, I'm standing near the Western bench, and man, there's a lot of hype right there. There's a lot of hype.
When you look ahead to the future of BioSteel, what are some of the things that are you excited about?
Getting back to its grassroots. BioSteel had, they were building the brand from the top down. I'm going to be building it from the grassroots back up again.
And is there anything else that you're looking forward to doing with the OUA? I know, you're involved with hydrating the athletes and making sure they're getting the best performances out of them as well. Is there anything else that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting really involved in individual universities across the OUA as well. And, we're going to be really excited to be bringing BioSteel into the universities as well.
Is there any other sport that you're really, really passionate about? I mean, football is certainly out there, but what else are you looking forward to checking out, through the course of your partnership here?
Hockey and basketball. I grew up playing hockey. It's, I've got a soft spot for that sport, and basketball is really big in the country as well. So we're going to go after basketball as well.
Yeah, it's crazy to see how Canadian sports has grown and emerged. I'm sure that's part of the reason why you joined up. What excites you about the future of Canadian sports in this country?
Yeah, I'd really love a part to, I'd really like to get involved with growing Canadian sports to try to get it at the same level as, the U.S., our partners across the border. I mean, they do things big, but we're going to try really hard to get it there.
We appreciate your time. Hopefully we'll enjoy the second half of this game. I'm going to toss it back to Marshall and Jack for some more analysis.
Thank you, Dong. Appreciate that. And great to hear BioSteel and their interest in everything going on with universities. Building from the ground up certainly is something that we can get behind and we understand at the university level. But what an interesting first half of football we've had here. There's so much on the line with these two teams because you look around the other conference championships. Obviously, it's an all-Saskatchewan final out west in the Hardy. You've got the Dunsmore, Montreal, Laval classic matchup. You expect Bishops to probably be dominant. But for a team that comes out of this game in this Yates Cup, if you're battle tested and Laurier's able to beat Western's able to beat Laurier, you come out and you genuinely feel like you have a great chance to win a Vanier Cup.
Yeah, down on the field before the game, Marshall, I was talking to coaches on both sides, and that was the sentiment from both coaching staffs. Both coaching staffs feel like whoever comes out of this game has a chance to win a national championship. You look at Quebec, obviously the two big teams there in Montreal and Laval. They're playing out west in the national semifinal next week in Saskatchewan against Regina or the University of Saskatchewan. Then Bishops playing St. Mary's. The winner of that hosts the winner of this game here. And these two teams feel like they're two of the top four teams in the country with those two teams from Quebec.
Yeah, I think either of these teams would love a little trip to a purple Lennoxville and go see what they can do out there. Let's take a look at some highlights here from the first half of action. Jack, it obviously got underway very quickly with Keanu Yazbek dominating on the ground, and man, things changed very quickly after this major was scored.
Well, Western goes down the field, 62-yard touchdown. Laurier comes right back and responds. The running back, Tayshawn Jackson, out as a receiver over the top and able to run away from the Western defense. And then Elgersma doing it again, extending the play out to his right. He missed Hughes on the last play. He finds him on that one. Laurier takes a 14-7 lead, and then a perfectly placed ball. Watch this drop right in the pocket of Ethan Jordan as a former quarterback. I know you get excited about plays like that, and that's the stand-up defensive player of the year in Jackson Finley. Tanner Nelms right up the gut. Laurier feeling good, 28-7 at home against Western, but here comes those ponies, and they scored 2 touchdowns late in that first half to make it a 28-21 ball game, and both these teams doing what they feel they can do efficiently. You look at Western, more rushing yards than passing yards. They're a run-first team. Laurier with the back-to-back MVP, 254 yards through the air already in this game. He does have the 1 interception, but still 87 yards on the ground. That's a really good half against the defense and the number 1 defense in the conference in the Western Mustangs. Both teams offensively feeling good. It's going to be who can buckle down defensively and get stops in this second half ultimately.
It has been a fun first half. We'll see what's in store coming up in this second. Right after this, more from Waterloo when we return to Knight New Brofield for the 116th Yates Cup presented by BioSteel.
Wasted every time I walk.
When the game gets real, drink BioSteel.
No matter your team this season, a refreshing taste that's easy to enjoy. Bud Light.
The OUA and today's 116th Yates Cup Championship is supported by Invest Hotels, by Nuthers, the award store, by Bar Down, and by Centaur Products. Welcome back to Waterloo. Halftime here winding down. 5 minutes until we're back in the action. Let's go down and hear from our honorary captains alongside Dinung Balsera.
Thanks, Marshall. Appreciate that. All right, back here with the honorary captains, Mark and Curly. Fellas, your full-time score predictions are basically the halftime score right here. What did you like that you saw from the Laurier Golden Hawks there in the first half?
I felt like we answered back when Western scored first. We came up with good energy, and we had our the offense going real well, moving the ball really good. Obviously we finished with touchdowns, which is a great sign. Obviously Western answered back there at the end of the half, and now it's just about regrouping and just coming out with that same energy and just finishing.
Now, Mark, you've been in a couple of halftime locker rooms with Coach Marshall. What is he telling his guys at the half?
He's definitely going to capitalize on the comeback there in the second quarter, and he's going to just end on 2 quarters left to bring it home, and you guys know what you got to do.
Yeah, well, both of these guys are doing a great job of, motivating the crowd and motivating their team here on the sidelines as well. Now, Kurt, I got to ask you, you've been in this environment. Has it lived up to the hype and everything that you've seen?
Oh, of course, especially with the biggest game of the year, especially in the OUA so far, especially with this, the game being what it is right now. Coach Foz, he's like, there's 2 quarters left. Give it all you got, and at the end of the day, hopefully we're going to be happy when the clock clicks 00.
Awesome. And Mark, you don't see road crowds travel the way they do, but we see this entire half's full, and they're making a lot of noise. Have you been impressed with what you've seen?
Yeah, of course. Always the Mustang fans, they always come and cheer proud, and it's always great seeing a bunch of them come down to the away games and, go Mustangs.
Awesome. Well, it certainly should be an entertaining second half, and we look forward to seeing what transpires, and I'll be back with Coach Marshall after the break. We'll see you then.
Every yard, every hit, every second. It's earned out here. This game demands more than just skill. It demands fuel. The right fuel. Because out here, it's not just about how hard you work. It's about how long you keep going. When the game gets real, drink Bio Steel.
Where exceptional student athletes are born. Where records are broken. Where great plays are made. Where school colors ignite passion. Where champions prevail. Where tradition is celebrated. Ontario University Athletics.
You don't think that's too cheetah looking? Does that look cheetah looking?
No.
No matter your team this season, a refreshing taste that's easy to enjoy. Bud Light.
When the game gets real, drink Bio Steel.
The 116th Yates Cup Championship is brought to you by BioSteel, the official hydration partner of the OUA. By Bud Light. Bud Light, drink responsibly. And by Wilson, the official football of the OUA.
Back here at University Stadium with Coach Marshall, the Western Mustangs. A lot of momentum carried there at the end of the first half. What was your message to the guys?
You know what? Just play hard. Just play hard. Play like you played all year. We got to tighten down on defense, but we're playing against a heck of a football team. We got to get a good stop here and build that momentum back up.
Awesome. Best of luck in the second half, Coach. Back to you, Marshall.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Denung, as we get set for second half action. And yeah, the ball cap goes back on here for Coach Marshall as he's ready to do work. What adjustment do you think, if any, we will see from the Western offense? I mean, it was a slow, basically, first half since they had the Kiana Yazbek touchdown. Then all of a sudden, rapid fire, they get themselves back in this game. But I wonder what the messaging was, X's and O's was, trying to sort it out.
Well, I don't think you're changing really your script of what you thought you were going to do into the second half. I think both these coaching staffs thought that this was going to be a close game. So if you set out what your third quarter script was, if you're Western, obviously Laurier gets the ball first, but you're down by 7. Even if they get a touchdown, you're still in that rhythm and where you want to be if you're the Mustangs, because you did so well at the end of that first half. And if you're the Laurier Golden Hawks, it's about not being slow here in this to start this second half. They need to come out with rhythm, get Taylor Elgersma back into his groove. 14 of 21 in the game for 254 yards, 3 touchdowns and an interception for the back-to-back OUA MVP. It's about getting him in rhythm, but seeing maybe on that first play if you can spring Tanner Nelms loose again.
Well, the first 30 were so much fun. Why don't we do another? Second half action here in the 116th Yates Cup, powered by BioSteel, as Ethan Jordan opens it up with a big return out across the 30 before Riley McLeod meets him. And right around the 31-32 yard line, Jordan takes a seat and Taylor Elgersma returns to the field after a very successful first half. For the most part, probably wants that little screen interception back though.
Yeah, just one where he thought he could get it over top of Soren Hallschmidt, who made a great play. You have to give credit where credit's due, but overall, a really efficient first half. Taylor Elgersma led the country passing yards, touchdowns, and quarterback efficiency this year. If there's anybody who can play in rhythm and on time, it's the Laurier quarterback.
See how these teams adjust coming out of the locker room as some confusion on Western's defense getting set up. And Laurier tries to take advantage. Tanner Nelms running it right down the pipe out to the 39-yard line, leaving him about 3 yards shy here on second down.
Just like we talked about with this Laurier offense coming out, when you get into 2nd and 3, Marshall, you know as a quarterback, opens up your playbook, really everything at your disposal. If you want to run the ball, if you want to impose yourself in the trenches, you can do that. If you want to throw it, if you want to throw it quickly, if you want to take a shot, everything's really at the disposal of Laurier's offense at 2nd and 3.
3 receivers to the left of Elgersma. Pressure coming from Richard Adu before. Looked like he was going to send it. Now he squares up And they will give it back to Nelms, picks up a first down. Dubefore might have just been flying down in run support once you realized that it was going to be inside, but it's the men in the middle that couldn't get it done that time, so back-to-back runs here successfully for Laurier.
Richie, Dubefore, like you mentioned, the boundary halfback coming, same with Ryan Barthelson off the edge, and Laurier just runs it back the other way up the middle, following that strong offensive line and getting Tanner Nelms a first down.
Nelms and Cooper Hamilton were in doubt as to whether or not they'd be back here at Laurier after last season, getting some CFL opportunities, but got cut, came back into the fold, and now here they are as Ethan Jordan looks to get around the corner. He does beat the tackle attempt across the 55, crosses the 45, and gets it back again and slides down at the 33-yard line, rolling his way deep into Western territory with a little flip end around from Taylor Elgersma.
We talk about your script. It's all about execution now. Ethan Jordan gets the pitch. Everybody on the Laurier offensive line moving one way. Spencer Walsh with a phenomenal block in open field on the Western defender that allows that cutback, and Laurier to get that ball inside the Western 35-yard line. Laurier executing Todd Galloway's script to start this second half.
Walsh, third year out of Brantford CI, as he blocks off that right-hand side in open space, and now cutting it back. Tayshaun Jackson throws on the brakes, spins away from another tackler, as the Western Mustangs run defense all of a sudden on their heels.
It's so impressive how Tayshaun Jackson can move so quickly and process the game so slowly, because he's able to slow himself down, open up running lanes, because his change of direction is so good. He's running one way, he stutter steps, he cuts it back up the middle, picks up another first down, and Laurier knocking on the door of the red zone.
Slammed on the anchors solidly that time and got a couple extra yards for his efforts as the full house backfield is in. All three running backs alongside Elgersma as now they empty it out. Little run fake here. Elgersma looking over the middle of the field, and this one goes off the hands of Jackson Finley as the President's Trophy Award winner from Thursday at the OUA Awards very nearly had an interception.
Taylor Elgersma wants a pass interference call from the referees. It looked like there was some miscommunication. Jackson Finley, the only one inside the vicinity. Ethan Jordan looked like he was going on a corner route, probably trying to work himself back to the inside, but Richard Dubefore doing a good job inside leverage, not allowing Ethan Jordan, doesn't draw the flag, forces a 2nd and 10.
Can the Western Mustangs get any pressure on Elgersma here? Clean pocket to begin this second half. As he looks to his right, swings it out quickly, and Nelms, men in the open field, bounces off a tackler, runs to another arm tackle, and Nelms down to the 10-yard line.
We've talked about Laomi Ojatalayo getting off blocks. Elgersma, the swing route to Nelms. Richard Dubefore lowers the shoulder. Ryan Barthelson misses, another miss by Western before Nelms taken down right at the 11. And Nelms just doing a good job staying on his feet. You mentioned he had training camp with the Montreal Alouettes. Questionable if he was coming back to Laurier. They get him back despite losing Quentin Scott, and he makes a big play here for the Golden Hawks to move the chains.
Massive to keep the drive alive on a second down conversion with effort like that is now Elgersma hands off. Tayshaun Jackson gets into it, and Elgersma trying to help push the pile forward as he'll make his way back onto his feet. Got into it in a situation like that against the Queens Gales last week at the end of the first half, but everyone no worse for wear on that play.
Taylor Elgersma, we know he plays with that emotion like you mentioned last week. He did pick up 2 objectionable conduct penalties. He was 1 away from getting kicked out of the game and not being able to play here today against Western. But he plays with that emotion, and that's, again, like we've mentioned, when he's at his best. Tayshaun Jackson wrapped up immediately by Ryan Barthelson, the Simon Fraser transfer, and forces a 2nd and 9 here for the Golden Hawks from the Western 10.
Darren Basic-Hayden goes out to the flats to the right. Elgersma didn't get the laces, but he does get the football into the hands of number 1, who's in for 6.
Go. Laurier's Rookie of the Year in 2022, Darian Basic-Hayden. We talked about how physical he can be between the tackles, 5'9", 220 pounds. That time able to keep his feet as he catches it close to the sideline, but nobody goes as he hits the flats, and an easy touchdown throw. Laurier gets the ball first, takes 5 minutes off the clock to begin the second half, and they finish with a major to restore a 14-point lead.
Well, if you're a Golden Hawk fan here at home in Waterloo, the start of that half could not have gone any better. As you see Elgersma ripping it out. Didn't get all of it, but got just enough.
Riley McLeod, the linebacker, coming off the edge. Nobody goes and fills that spot down in the flat where Darian Bassick-Hayden wide open all alone. And the second year from Chatham, who might not have the stats to back up being a top 3 running back in a team that rotates their running back crew like Laurier does, comes up with a timely play. Nelms has a touchdown, Tayshaun Jackson has a touchdown, and now Darian Bassick-Hayden has a touchdown.
Yeah, I think the one thing I saw in that last drive that perfectly summarizes the way that this game has been going and the way it's going to go right down to the end, like Michael Fultz said, probably down to the last 3 minutes. Eric Anderson, the left tackle for the Mustangs, on that big Tanner Nelms battling to get the first down, turned around to his offensive line and just kind of shrugged and went, wow. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of really good plays being made out here, and lots and lots of talent flying around the field. A big collision on special teams here. Could see that one coming from a mile away as Kojo Kadua flew down the field and dropped the shoulder.
Kojo Kadua, watch this hit from Kojo Kadua. Changed from wide receiver to defensive back in the offseason, and you see why. You talk about a guy who plays with a mean streak. Kojo Kadua is one of those guys. Regular season game against Queens. Gales on the field pregame trying to get in Elgersma's head. Kojo Kadua right there word for word with them, and then plays nasty on that hit. Western starting inside their own 20.
Mustangs haven't touched the football yet, and Evan Hillick begins already down by 14 once again as low and away he goes. Skips into the turf, incomplete.
Talked about that really good comeback route as Mohsen Jamal, who we've seen already go off with an injury, still down on the turf. He had a great comeback route in the first half against Malik Cote. This time doesn't get as much separation. Evan Hillock has to put that in a position where only Mohsen Jamal can get it, and Malik Cote can't jump it going to the boundary sideline. So Hillock puts it down in the turf. Mohsen Jamal can't get down and make the catch. 2nd and 10 for the Mustangs from their own 17.
And Mohsen Jamal, I'm not sure if that's a shoulder issue, but walking towards the tunnel and just shaking his head. I'm not sure we're going to see him again in this ball game. As Evan Hillock rolls to his right, pressure on over the top, and back-to-back incompletions to begin for the Mustangs, and the Laurier crowd full throttle here in Waterloo.
Watch this, Omari Hastings gets picked up on the block by the Western running back, and then Jesse Wilkins, the Willside linebacker, stepping up and forcing Hillock to throw that ball over top of him. He saw Elgersma throw an interception where he didn't get enough air under it, so he tries to go to his fullback, Sandro Perini. It's just 6 foot, 230 pounds, can't get it down in time. And the Mustangs have to punt this one away, and in position where they might have to concede a safety punting into the wind, depending on how much they trust Oliver Griffiths.
Yeah, deferred to begin the game, did Laurier, and ended up having Western take the football. The winds change direction, so good field position to begin for Tayshaun Jackson, and he adds on to it with a stellar return. It'll go for 15 yards and all the way down to the Western 40-yard line. So a 14-point advantage and great starting field position.
Well, you're backed up, and again, it's decision time. Craig Marshall doesn't want to push this game to 16 points. That's 2 two-point converted touchdowns. He would be trailing, so he puts the faith in his punter. Hanging punt, Tayshaun Jackson catches it just outside midfield. He gets up to the 40-yard line, and Laurier automatically knocking on the door of scoring range.
Elgersma sends Stebbings in motion. Looks inside, hands it off. Tanner Nelms has got running room. Jackson Finley's going to race him to the pylon. Nelms puts his shoulder down, and Finley barely able to get there in time, but a massive run on first down, and Tanner Nelms has it all the way down to the 4-yard line.
37-yard run by the Laurier running back. Watch this hole. You could drive a Mack truck through it. Laurier's offensive line continuing to push the pace here, and then Tanner Nelms in a foot race. Jackson Finley gets there, 37-yard gain, and the Golden Hawks on the Western 3-yard line with 1st and goal.
Elgersma takes the snap, looks inside, handoff, goes to Nelms, and Elgersma once again tries to get into the mix. Leans his way into the fold as we get another look at the massive Nelms run down the left sideline.
And just in a foot race with Ryan Barthelson, who can't catch up. And then it's two guys to be hoping to crack CFL rosters next season. And Jackson Finley and Tanner Nelms trying to muscle their way in. Nelms stops short of the goal line on first down. Laurier gets down to the 1. Taylor Elgersma is a very good short yardage quarterback. 6 rushing touchdowns in the regular season, 2 against the Mustangs.
Lining up like it will be a sneak here. Elgersma takes the snap, reverse handoff, looking to throw it now. Basic Hayden into the end zone. Touchdown, Laurier. Khalil Durman. A little Yates Cup magic.
'22 Vanier Cup. Kevin Mittal throws a touchdown to David Dallaire. This time Darian Bassick-Hayden, a man in his face. Max Nixon throws him down to the turf. But Khalil Durman, the second-year Tri-City native from Cambridge, played his high school football at Glenview Park and played minor football with the Cambridge Lions, gets a touchdown in the Yates Cup to try and restore that 3-score lead. And the Golden Hawks feeling it early in the second half here, Marshall.
And Taylor Elgersma's fantasy owners furious that basically stealing the touchdown, but man, what is going through the mind of Michael Folds when he draws that one up?
Well, and this is just a lot of faith in Darian Bassick-Hayden. Look at this, gets it off quickly, pressure in his face, and just puts it in a perfect spot. We talk about that Ethan Jordan touchdown from Taylor Elgersma. How about that one over the shoulder? And Khalil Durman, 6'2", 255, and making plays like that. My goodness, this Laurier offense feeling it after Western push pressure back in their face in the second quarter. Laurier comes out 14 unanswered points to begin the second half. And capped off with that one. We talked about Darian Bassick-Hayden being the guy who gets the least amount of touches in the running game. Khalil Durman is the fullback that gets no love. We've talked already about Sebastian Parcelidis, the first-team OUA All-Star. We've talked about Max Harris. We haven't talked about Khalil Durman, and he has one that'll go on his highlight reel forever.
Craziest thing about that, we always talk about quarterbacks standing in and taking the hit to make the play. Next time we get a chance to see it, I want everybody at home to watch Bassick-Hayden, where there's essentially 2 free rushers right in his face, and he just kind of lobs it over the top, and I think they started their feet because they went, what are you doing?
Well, he had to catch it in his chest and then quickly flip it up and put it in a perfect spot. Incredible play from the Golden Hawks so far here today.
Fast start to the second half after a 2-and-out for the Mustang offense. A big return would certainly help as this one slowed down quickly after a nice shot. Roman Campanaro making his way down the field, and now down to make the play is that Paul Legal that is down after delivering the blow. So the training staff for Laurier will come out to take a look at Legal.
Paul Legal, the second year for Laurier, spent 2 years in the Canadian Junior Football League with Edmonton. Last year, his brother Daniel transferred in from York to play his final year of eligibility. And Laurier's coverage team, what's so impressive to me, Marshall, is they're opening up running gaps for Western intentionally. They're waiting for the lead blocker to go through, and then they're filling that gap with a big hit. Paul Legali throwing that one, he gets off the turf and walking off under his own power. But we've already mentioned it, underrated unit for this Laurier team, kickoff and punt cover teams, and they're having a phenomenal day so far. Some big hits that are really getting this crowd into it in the second half of the 116th Yates Cup.
Yeah, special teams coaches Matt Robichaud, Mike Daly doing their job, getting those guys right ahead of this one. As Evan Hillock from his own 29-yard line looks to throw again. Loads it up, throws down the middle of the field, and faded away from that one. Pressure right in his face. Not sure if that was LaCantina or if it was Griffiths, but Laurier got into the backfield and made Hillock have to rush that one.
Well, and this is where we talked about forcing Western to get into passing downs and must-pass situations. Down by 21 midway through the third quarter, looking for Dasani McIntosh, and Hillock just a little bit off time. Ethan Bayfield there step for step with the explosive McIntosh.
Ellick takes the snap, run fake once again, now rolls out to his right-hand side, looking for any receiver that's available. Won't be able to find anyone. Coverage there, start to finish for the Golden Hawks.
Watch this. Evan Hillick drops back to pass, pressure in his face, and then forced to the outside, and the big man, Chisenham Insatem, forcing him out of bounds. Just a gain of 3 yards on the play for Western. Insatem dropped 30 pounds to be more athletic and play in space. He was 340 pounds last season. He's 310 this season.
Crazy.
And he makes a great play on Evan Hillick.
A lot of shaking heads walking back to the Western bench here as returner will this time be Titan Godin, who hauls it in, steps out of bounds, and with a 42-21 advantage, the Wilfred Laurier Golden Hawks in control as it stands right now thanks to a quick start to this second half. Why not throw it over the top? Running back to fullback, touchdown, the Golden Hawks. And they add on to their advantage with 6:51 remaining in the third. Welcome back to Waterloo, 42-21. Laurier continues to lead over the Western Mustangs as low-scoring games in some of the other conference championships right now from around the country, and seeing what Wilfred Laurier is able to do very fast, put up points, it makes you wonder, man, if they do get out of this and go into national competition, they could outscore anybody in a moment's notice, but plenty of work to do before they can celebrate the 116th Yates Cup, powered by BioSteel, as they'll begin with Elgersma on a corner route and dancing his way down the field. Why not go back to him after he just got the major? It's his day. Khalil Derman makes the grab, tumbling over sideways, and Elgersma getting a chuckle out of that one, but he finds 43 again.
Well, we talk about the prolific receivers Laurier has: Ethan Jordan, Leomo Jatalayo, Ryan Hughes. Khalil Derman says, hey, you guys got to talk about me a little bit more. Look at that one. Athleticism down the field. Second catch of the game for Derman, already with a touchdown, and now on Western's side of the field for the Hawks.
Inside run out, Tayshawn Jackson breaks an arm tackle, and he's finally wrapped up on the play. Ryan Barthelson will get there and get, oh, actually, no, that was Jordan Murphy that made the tackle flying in from his corner spot, but Jackson, nice little burst at the line of scrimmage.
So, Marshall, I want to bring up some stats to you. Western, best defense in the country, or in the conference, allowing points 16 per game. They've allowed 42. They average allowing 181 passing yards a game. So far here today, the Golden Hawks have thrown for 300, and they've also run for 182. Western averages allowing 126. Wow. Golden Hawks offense having a field day.
And Elgersma looking for more. A do-before against Ethan Jordan, and it is incomplete. And no flags down on the play.
Well, you hear that student section as Ethan Jordan down on the turf calling for a trainer. We talked about Raiden Thorne not out there for Laurier in this game. And now Ethan Jordan asking for help from Ryan Hughes.
Yeah, getting a cramp.
Just tied up with the do before going down to the turf. No flag in the student section, wanted one, but they won't get it right in front of them. The referee down that sideline actually went over a camera person right at the goal line, but Golden Hawks trying to take a shot to Ethan Jordan on 1st and 10. And now Jordan down on the turf being looked at by the athletic therapists, and Taylor Elgersma, the first one down there.
I think the training staff just said, Taylor, we're good. Go get in the...
Well, he wants to take care of his number one target, 1,000-yard receiver. We talked about first 1,000-yard receiver in program history. Already down Raiden Thorne. He wants to make sure that it's nothing serious for Ethan Jordan.
Kevin Baird having a conversation as well, our referee, now with Elgersma about the potential on that last play for pass interference as Cooper Hamilton comes over to give a helping hand, and Ethan Jordan making his way back over to the sideline. And they will play 2nd down and 10 as Elgersma and the offense go back to work, rolling towards 5 minutes remaining in this third quarter. 42-21. Doubling up the Mustangs at home. That's a pressure look, and they might have just caught Western in the blitz. Now the Mustangs trying to check. Elgersma takes the snap, gives the inside handoff. Basic Hayden Hayes got a touchdown pass today, trying to add to it on the ground as well. And that one run right up the middle, gets stopped, and the special teams will have their chance to duel once more here in Waterloo.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to get our first field goal attempt of the day. Dawson Hodge from about 40 yards out. And then it's a really good check there by Taylor Elgersma. Does the hard count, sees the blitz, Western checks out of it, they back off, they drop everybody into coverage, 2nd and long, and they run Basic Hayden up the middle. That's a good shot to take if you're Laurier. You're getting the look that you want. And now Laurier down a man on the field goal unit, have to run on Insatem before this 40-yard attempt with 10 seconds on the play clock from Dawson Hodge.
From 45 yards away, Hodge hits it clean, plenty of leg, absolutely hammered it. And add another 3 on, 45-21, Laurier over Western.
Tied for the season long for distance for Dawson Hodge, 40 yards, 13 of 17 in the regular season on field goals. He was 10 of 18 last year, and it was a big question mark for the Golden Hawks on if Hodge could find that rhythm again this year after having some all-Canadian seasons in years previous. And the 4th year from Coquitlam, BC, good from 40, very comfortable. Down the middle of the field, that one would have been good from about 55. And Laurier, like you mentioned, Marshall, up by 24 points here, 4 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Yeah, this is where Evan Hillock's really got to start throwing it down the field. You think at some point, how patient can they be chipping away with the running game like this with Keon Edwards?
Well, you can get a little bit more chip away at the game if you can establish the running game and get into those situations like we mentioned where you open up your playbook. Remember, Western's a run-first team. They're not going to completely abandon it down by 24 points. They're still going to try and run the rock. They had success early in the game, and now they have a 2nd and manageable 2nd and 4 here.
Handed off again inside. Edwards tries to wheel it back from right to left. And the Laurier defense right there to make the play, but it'll be enough for the first down.
Just another good run. And if you're Western, you're confident that Keon Edwards and Keanu Yazbek can make guys miss. Look at that cutback from Edwards. He makes Mateo LaQuintana miss the first time before he's able to take him down. But at 1st and 10 here for Western.
Hellick works his eyes left to right. Looking over the top, what a grab! Over the shoulder, it's hauled in, dragging to the end zone, but pulled down as Xavier Allen. Get the stick out. That one locked into the palms of 16.
Well, he only had 1 catch for 5 yards in the regular season. He's had 2 for 25 yards in the playoffs so far, and that time against Malik Cote, who there's an argument might have gotten snubbed for an OUA All-Star nod. Xavier Allen on a great thrown ball by Evan Hillock. Xavier Allen gets up and he pulls it down and puts Western down to the Laurier 4.
Nice ball by Hillock as well. Said he had to start taking some shots. Well, that certainly qualifies. And now as the shadows get longer at Knight Newbro Field, Jerome Rancourt checks in. Unsuccessful on third down earlier. This time he'll reverse pivot, hand off Keon Edwards. And the defense is right there once again. The middle of that Laurier defensive front does the job. As Andre Butte first off the top of the pile.
We asked Michael Folds about his defensive line. It's by committee. They don't have that prolific sack getter or rush guy that they've had in the past. They rotate the defensive linemen. They think their 8 best fresh are better than anybody else in the country's 4, tired in the second half. Big push against the strong Western offensive line, and Andre Butte finishes the play with a tackle on Keon Edwards. Second and goal from the 3 for the Western Mustangs.
And Greg Marshall agrees as he pulls the power run set. Evan Hillock back in the ball game with Keon Edwards. Fakes the run inside. Hillock, pressure, steps up, goes down!
Marcus Tenney gets home. And the brute strength of this defensive lineman, you'll see him coming up the middle. Hillock doesn't like what he sees. Pressure from the outside from Jesse Wilkins. Pressure up the middle from Marcus Tenney. And the third year from Minesing, Ontario, who gets the sack. He got his first career sack week 1 against McMaster. He gets a sack here in the Yates Cup and forcing Brian Garrity onto the field for the field goal attempt late in this third quarter.
Well, unless they fake it, you're just trying to play possession for possession here and nullify the field goal from moments ago. But 24-21, as it goes right now, doesn't make you feel much better. It's points on the board in the second half, though.
Well, you've given up, you had a 28-21 deficit at the half if you're the Western Mustangs. You get your first points with 1:09 to go in the third quarter. And Brian Garrity, as consistent as they come, now 28 of 28 on field goals in the playoffs in his OUA career. They do penalty runs, or they do runs after practice unless Brian Garrity hits a pressure kick from 48 yards, and Greg Marshall said, we don't run that much. He's been phenomenal, but in a game like this, now down 21, you need to capitalize when you get the ball first and goal from the 4-yard line.
Don't have to condition when you got that guy nailing kicks at the end of practice every day. As Elgersma gets the football back, quick screen goes to Hughes. Cooper Hamilton out in space, just missed his block. And a good job by the Western defense to rally to the football inside out as Hughes goes ahead and picks up 6.5 yards on first down as Taylor Elgersma. Nice numbers, obviously, in that first half. Chipping away at this point, stands 17 of 26, has that one interception, but getting ready to go up and above 300 yards passing on the day. There he is, 306 live updated for you as his first completion today, and was actually his 300th attempt of the year as well. So ripping it through the air all season long, and nothing different here in the Yates Cup. He'll hand it off. Tayshawn Jackson brought down. Riley McLeod flows over from his linebacker spot. First down, Laurier.
We talk about the battle in the trenches, how well Laurier's offensive line plays. One of the things we talked about with Michael Folds was at the end of last season when Laurier lost the Yates Cup to Western, he looked in the team meeting room and he said, if you want to be Montreal, if you want to be UBC, if you want to be a Western, your offensive lines are big and they stay big. The Laurier offensive line, they weighed them week to week, and they said, this is what you guys started the season at, this is what you finished at, and on average, they lost about 10 pounds a player. 1,500 pounds of offensive line for this Laurier team this season. And on average, they've gained 3 pounds over the course of the year as we have an injury down on the field for the Laurier Golden Hawks.
And it's Darian Basic-Hayden that went down at the end of that run very, very slowly and gingerly on that left leg and tried to stand back up. And then the training staff came out and just told him to take a seat for a moment and let them take a look and try to make sure he's okay as we get a look there at Jackson Finley talking things over. And the defense trying to sort out how they can get a stop here against this Laurier balanced attack, really, because the first half was really all through the air, and now they've been layering it on with Nelms, the big run down the left sideline. Tayshaun Jackson's been supplementing whenever possible.
210 rushing yards on the day for the Golden Hawks on 24 attempts, 23 attempts for Western, 170 yards, but then Laurier winning the battle through the air as well. You mentioned the balanced attack. Laurier very, very good at that in the regular season, and the key piece to that is Darian Bassick-Hayden, who you mentioned has the touchdown catch. He has the touchdown throw in this one. He was the team rookie of the year in 2022. And really, we talk about glue guys. We talk about Laomi Ojatalayo, his ability on special teams as they bring the ambulance onto the field here for Darian Bassick-Hayden, as Western talking this over on the sideline.
It is. As they take a look there at Darian Bassick-Hayden, we look back at actually his touchdown pass here where, man, pressure was on right in his face and able to make the toss over the top. If they go on to win this Yates Cup, which they are certainly in the driver's seat right now, that will be an iconic moment in Wilfred Laurier football history.
Well, it's one of those plays where does that solidify the game for you if you're the Laurier Golden Hawks? Is that what pushes you over the top? And Darian Bassick-Hayden being at the center of that, you see getting looked at by the trainers and some concerned faces on that Laurier sideline with the fourth quarter to go in this football game, up by 21 points, but the Golden Hawks knowing that one of their key pieces and one of the glue guys of this team down on the field and want to be able to finish this game off for him and do it in a game where he's been so fantastic for the Golden Hawks.
Yeah, Wilfred Laurier down on the knee on their sideline, and Michael Falls, their head coach, trying to get everybody together and take a moment. So we'll take a moment to step aside as they take a look at Darian Bassick-Hayden and make sure that he is okay here in the 116th Yates Cup Championship. As you see him going into the end zone earlier on, and a great battle back and forth between these two teams. We'll step aside and return right after this with more OUA football action.
When the game gets real, drink BioSteel.
Team this season, a refreshing taste that's easy to enjoy. Bud Light.
Welcome back to Waterloo as they continue to look over Darian Bassick-Hayden. He hasn't been able to get up off of the field yet. The ambulance still on the field, so they were working through that. Let's head down to Denan Bolsera, who is alongside the CEO of the OUA, Gord Grace.
All right, here with Gord Grace. Gord, first Yates Cup here since 2005. The turnout has been amazing. What has impressed you about what they've been able to accomplish here in Waterloo?
Yeah, no, it's been great. The atmosphere is electric. Good on Laurier for getting so many fans out, and Western brought a whole bunch of fans down, and it's a beautiful day. You couldn't ask for anything more for a Yates Cup, that's for sure.
Now, there's been great strides in the OUA with football. What has impressed you, and what are you proud of what your team's been able to accomplish this season?
Well, again, it's a combined effort. We have a slogan around here somewhere that says we are one, and it is true. It's what we do in the office here. It's what our 20 members do, our 11 football programs. Everybody's trying to elevate football. We got outstanding athletes. We were saying this on Thursday. The athletes have never been better. The coaching's never been better. The facilities are there, so we're quite proud of the product that we're producing these days.
Now, it doesn't end with football. Obviously, you got a full slate of sports and stuff ahead in 2024. What are some of the things that you're looking forward to with the OUA and what you got forecasted?
Well, you're right. I mean, we're just finishing up fall championships. Had men's rugby last night. We had 7 championships in the last 2 weeks. But now we can focus on winter sports, hockey, basketball, volleyball, and all our championships, swimming, track, and field. So they're to come. That happens after Christmas, and that'll be tremendous too. So it's always nice to finish the fall season with the Yates Cup, the 116th Yates Cup, especially on a day like today, especially when you got Laurier and Western, 2 traditional powerhouses going at it. So it's been a great fall.
Now, I want you to look into the crystal ball for a second, right? We'll look into the future of football. What are some things that you're striving to accomplish next season?
Well, it's an interesting question. We had a lot of parity this year, maybe the most parity we ever did. We saw, progress by Guelph, by York, Max back in the. It's tough right through game 1 through game 50. We play 50 games in the OUA. So what I'm looking for to elevate is probably the overall promotion, trying to get a better product on OUA TV, things like that. The coaches and the athletes are going to do their part. The administrators and the league office, we're working together to try and bring it and showcase our athletes more than ever before.
You have the partnership with the CFL. It's great that you got BioSteel involved as well. Why is it important to have, these established names and these partnerships with the OUA?
Yeah, listen, it was great having BioSteel come on. Obviously a big brand, especially Associated Sports. They want to do more with university sports, so they've been a great sponsor to bring on. And as you mentioned, like we got Bud Light here today. Wilson's the sponsor. Sponsors really give us the opportunity to add the icing on the cake. Okay, that's what it gives to. The money goes back into enhancing experience for student athletes, like scarves and hats and championship hats and things like that. That's why they're so valuable to us. We have the funding we need to run the games, but to really take it to another level, that's where our sponsors come in.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate your time, and I'll see you up on the podium in about another quarter. Back to you, Marshall.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that, Dean. And thank you to Gord Grace as well for being able to give us a couple of moments of his time as Darian Basic-Hayden is making his way into the ambulance, it looks like, in just a moment here. But Michael Faulds telling his Laurier sideline to get themselves up onto their feet, start warming them up. Josh Vanderweerd, actually a guy I played with at McMaster, tremendous strength and conditioning coach, and working with them over there as well. It was part of that offensive line kind of restoration that you talked about, of trying to make sure they stay as active as possible. And so Basic-Hayden makes his way up onto the gurney there and will be helped to the local hospital as they announce here inside the stadium. But with Michael Faulds, I mean, trying to get the sideline, the energy back up on that side, it's always the difficult part of this. But I did want to take a second to recognize, obviously, he is the David Tuffy Knight Award 3 times now he's been able to do it. And it's, for Laurier, first undefeated season, as we've said, since 2005, 8th in the 63-year history. And when you think of Knight Newbro Field and 63 years of Laurier football history, I did want to recognize, of course, that this past year we actually lost former Laurier football coach and legend Earl Richard, or better known as Rich Newbro, back in June of this season at the age of 87. Led the Golden Hawks to the Vanier Cup in 91, influenced generations of Laurier student athletes as well. 30 seasons as a part of Laurier's football coaching staff, starting as an offensive coordinator, became the university's assistant director of athletics in 1984, was named the director of athletics, head coach of football, held that for 10 years as well, and actually captured a couple of Yates Cups for himself as well, in 1987 and 1991 as well. So playing this game here on this field today, Knight Newbro Field, seems fitting with Michael Faulds trying to do the best coaching job he possibly can, with David Tuffy Knight awarding him that on Thursday at Tim Hortons Field at the OUA Awards down in Hamilton, and of course losing Coach Newbro earlier on this season.
Yeah, really emotional offseason for the Golden Hawks. You think about, mentioned 1987,
that was a year when Laurier defensive coordinator Ron Van Moorkirk was a player on this Golden Hawk team. Took a couple seasons off, joined Laurier as a member of the coaching staff, started with the defensive line, took over as the defensive coordinator in the early 2000s, was the defensive coordinator for that 2005 Vanier Cup team. He's still here as the defensive coordinator for the Golden Hawks. He's one of the longest tenured coordinators in the country and also the associate head coach, but a guy who learned and came from the Rich Newbro school and has really been able to develop those defensive players that we've come to know go on to the next level in the Canadian Football League. And a big reason why that defensive line has always been a point of emphasis for this Golden Hawks team is because of Ron Van Moorkirk coming from that Rich Newbro school of thought.
Oh, and when you go down through the coaching staff here at Wilfred Laurier currently, I mean, it's littered with ex-players and alumni and former CFLers, and that's something special that Michael Faltz actually said to us. He's like, I hope our guys recognize how lucky they are to have like Kwaku Boateng just wandering around the building. You know?
Well, but you just look at the defensive line, that the position coaches, S.A. Marabre, who was a 5th overall pick to the Canadian Football League, Grey Cup champion, Kwaku Boateng, who was a ratio-breaking defensive end in the Canadian Football League, and Trevon James, who was an OUA All-Rookie, OUA All-Star, won a Yates Cup in 2016. Those are the 3 positional coaches that this Golden Hawks team has. So we talk about Laurier's defensive line doing it by committee and rotating those guys. There's no coaches in the country who can get more out of those guys than the young guys who did it just a couple years ago.
And wishing the very best right now for Darian Basic-Hayden, and as he makes his way in the ambulance away from the field and the stadium here in Waterloo. But Taylor Elgersma and the Golden Hawks with a job to do. They'll go back to Tanner Nelms on the ground on first down, and Nelms refuses to be tackled, picks up an extra 10-15 yards after contact. And there's an injured Laurier offensive lineman down behind the play as well. And all of a sudden the injury bug, just as the training staff was recovering from working with Darian Basic-Hayden, looks like Josh Reifeld is down.
Yeah, Josh Reifeld, the first-team OUA All-Star, finishing off his block and then down on the turf, plays that boundary guard spot. We talked about it, Marshall, where Laurier doesn't do the traditional left guard, left tackle, right guard, right tackle. They play to the boundary side, and the thought process is your whole offense and the whole defense plays boundary and field, so why aren't you doing it with your offensive line? You're able to get those one-on-one matchups the entire game, not hoping for the ball to be on a certain hash. You can really command the game from there. And Josh Reifeld, a 6'5", 335-pound fourth year from Brantford, first team OUA All-Star, like we mentioned, along with Cooper Hamilton. Big piece to this offensive line. And Taylor Elgersma wants to be the one to help him off the field at the end of the third quarter, with Laurier leading by 21 points. But like you mentioned, that injury bug starting to bite the Golden Hawks here and trying to get loose again after some time off, after Basic-Hayden taken away in the ambulance, Reifeld being down on the turf, end of the quarter. We haven't seen a lot of football plays in the last 10 or so minutes at University Stadium. And with a 21-point lead, we saw how quickly Western could score at the end of the second quarter. There's reason to believe they can do it again in the fourth quarter. Laurier with a chance, though, at the Western 45 to really put their foot on the gas of this football game.
At this point, it almost feels like there's been another halftime at the end of the third quarter for these players. So trying to get back up to speed. This time they'll flip it around to Ojutalayo going to the wide side, winning the race, and then throws the stiff arm. Chucked Ryan Barthelson that time.
Well, when you talk about Swiss Army knife, Laomi Ojutalayo is that guy. Most known for his hurdles and his big plays last year. This year, everybody found out he had some speed on an 81-yard touchdown against the Queens Gales. He likes going to the hurdles, but now he's added the stiff arm to the arsenal. This is a guy who can just do it all for the Golden Hawks. A big gain of 11 on first down.
Elgersma turns around, hands it off to Tanner Nelms, looking for some more physicality from the left side. Those receivers downfield. trying to get the best again. There's always a great moment, isn't there, where you realize you're not going to outrun the guy in front of you, and then you have that half second of, well, I guess I might as well just try to chuck him here.
Well, I'm surprised Laomi didn't try and hurdle him. That's been his MO. Last week he tried to hurdle down the near sideline and didn't quite get up as the Queens defender standing straight up. But we talked about him making plays on special teams, making plays on offense. He's really a guy who's done it all here today.
Algersma in the gun, 3 receivers to his right. Steps up in the pocket, looks down the field. Ethan Jordan in the end zone, incomplete. Overshot him Adubafor in coverage.
Well, one of the things about Richard Adubafor, you talk about how good of a football player he is. First team OUA All-Star, draft pick by the Saskatchewan Roughriders in 2024, 68th overall. Long body, 6'3", 205 pounds. Ethan Jordan, not the biggest receiver out on the field, standing at just 6 feet tall, so Adubafor with his long arms can get in passing lanes. Elgersma has to try and put it in a tough spot for Adubafor to make a play, and he just missed Jordan in the end zone.
Just trying to use his speed to run away from the big man in the secondary there from the Mustangs. So Dawson Hodge digs his way underneath this one, opposite end of the field from where he crushed a field goal in the third quarter, and to get things going here in the fourth, but 3 more on the board, and again, that nullifies Western's decision, Jack, to go for the field goal down at the opposite end in that third quarter.
Well, the Laurier Golden Hawks sustaining a drive going down the field. Dawson Hodge 2 for 2 in the game on field goals, that one from 36. And now Laurier, like you mentioned, back to that 24-point lead. So for Western, having a first and goal at the 4, essentially that drive's wiped out of the ball game. And now you have to find another 24 points in the fourth quarter. You'd imagine Western scores any touchdowns, they're going to be looking to go for 2 here, Marshall.
No choice. 3 possessions, 3 2-point conversions. Easy enough, Evan Hillock. Let's see you do it. Loads this one up and down the field into the sun, incomplete. He was looking for Seth Robertson.
Western sideline wanted a pass interference call. Robertson had the step on Ethan Bayfield. You see Hillock go play action to Yazbek. Lots of time in the pocket. Great thrown ball down the field. And Ethan Bayfield right in there against Seth Robertson. Can't pull it off the turf. And Western forced to a 2nd and 10 from their own 35.
Braden Mazzari, the lone receiver, to the top of your screen here for the Mustangs. They'll hand it off inside as Yazbek, diving away from tacklers, puts a shoulder down. Big collision is Yazbek, always looking for contacts, but not much to be gained on that one, and it's 3rd down with 12.5 minutes remaining in the Yates Cup.
Yeah, and they're going to go for this here. Yazbek had a 3rd down attempt on 3rd and short in the regular season against Malik Cote. Cote chopped him down short of the line of scrimmage and forced a turnover on downs. That time he chops him down to make it 3rd and 8 here for the Mustangs in their own zone.
Hillock will roll to the right, looking downfield. No open receivers, working against traffic, skipped it in, incomplete, and a turnover on downs. Robertson unable to make the catch.
Well, we talked about Laurier wanting to get pressure on Evan Hillock, and it's not necessarily the hits that are going to throw him off, but the presence. You see him roll off to his right, left on your screen. Gregorczyk steps up in the pocket, and that just throws Hillock off. He knows he has to get it out quickly. He has Robertson open over the middle for a 1st down, but it skips in. Another missed throw by Evan Hillock, and Laurier takes over at the Western 37-yard line with a 24-point lead in less than 12 minutes to go in the 116th Yates Cup.
Flop Ethan Jordan over into the boundary, then little draw handoff inside. And going nowhere fast that time. Nice step up right in the middle of that defense from Max Nixon, the veteran, the 5th year out of London. And that one was handed off inside to Luke Rayner, getting the rare touch here, but with Basic Hayden out and injured, having to find some different solutions. They'd love to be able to run the football, I'm sure, if you're Michael Faltz, to kill the clock, dominate the line of scrimmage, and celebrate on home turf a Yates Cup victory. Western trying to do anything they can to rip out the football and get possession back after the turnover on downs. Elgersma over the top, flips the wrist off the fingertips. Incomplete, intended for Ryan Hughes, very nearly had the dagger.
Ryan Hughes just steps away from the Western defender, Kojo Odum. And down the sideline, and we talked about that big catch radius that he has, but just unable to haul it in off his fingertips, a little bit over the shoulder and long from Taylor Elgersma. So Dawson Hodge on for another field goal attempt here. This one a 42-yarder. This would be his longest of the season. But Laurier with a chance to put more points on the board and take that 3-possession game to a 4-possession game.
And honestly, at this point, with the clock rolling, you start thinking, well, how many more snaps will Western actually get to try and make a difference in this football game? Well, this would certainly help not shut the door, but close it just a little bit more. A 50-burger for the Golden Hawks in the Yates Cup.
Taking advantage, we talked about points off turnovers, a turnover on downs by Western. Laurier doesn't finish in the end zone, but they get another field goal. They push that lead to 26 points here in the Yates Cup. 27 points, and feeling real good with just over 10.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and the crowd alive here at University Stadium, Marshall, like they have been all day.
Laurier fans starting to feel it. Little slant inside. Robertson trying to quiet the crowd after he couldn't convert on third down. And right away, Braden Masseri picking up his fellow receiver and rushing back to the line of scrimmage, because Western's got no choice for the remainder of this game but to go as fast as they possibly can. Hillock with pressure coming, wrapped up, brought down. It's Mateo LaQuintana at a St. Thomas More in Hamilton. Part of the OUA all-rookie team, 2 sacks in the regular season, and beat the right side of that Western offensive line for a big loss here.
He does it against the St. Thomas More legend in Evan Hillock and forces a big 2nd and long. Big play by the Laurier rookie defensive end.
Hillock underneath, incomplete. Was looking for Sandro Pirini. The fullback couldn't hang on. But it wouldn't have been of much use anyways. Still would have put them in at least 3rd down and 12, and so off the field comes the Western offense.
Sandro Pirini got up and looked at Hillock and said, "That was on me," and Hillock was beside himself as Western has to punt it again here. Big stop by the Laurier defense.
High snap, there was some contact in the backfield as flags come down on the receiving end as well, but Olivier Griffiths had contact but might have gotten pushed into, so shakes his head, heads off to the sideline, and Laurier with possession once again here. 9 minutes remaining, 51-24, the Golden Hawk lead.
This is just the 2nd penalty of the game for both teams, Marshall, and both of them have been 15-yard, no-yard penalties against the Western Mustangs. So you talk about the disciplinedness, and we talked to Greg Marshall about that. He said last year in the Yates Cup we didn't take any penalties. We were able to win the game 29-14. He's only taken 2 here today. But Laurier back with the ball up 51-24, 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, trying to ice it.
We haven't given Kevin Baird nearly enough camera time here today. Only 2 flags. Great job by this officiating crew and both teams. Clean, entertaining game. As Tanner Nelms inside handoff. And Elgersma gets into the fray, trying to block things up, as well as Van Moldorfer actually tossed him over the top of the pile at the end of that one. I'm not sure if on Michael Faulds I really want my back-to-back OUA MVP as we look like we're headed towards a UTEC Bowl and potentially a Vanier Cup run, getting involved in run blocking with 8 minutes to go, but that's kind of his nature, isn't it?
Green dot on the quarterback helmet, allowed to be talked to by the offensive coordinator, Todd Galloway, and I'm pretty sure that was, hey, don't do that. Please don't do that.
Hey, enough. That's what's happening in the helmet right now. But Elgersma, it's tough to tame the beast, and he's been wild today as this one knocked away underneath. Malcolm Fraser nearly got a hand on it. And so 3rd down, And the punting unit will come out. Kills only a minute of clock.
Well, and that's the interesting part about Canadian football, Marshall, right? We talk about trying to wind down the clock, but you get 2 downs, clock stops after plays. You can't really wind the clock down as much as you hope to, and Western's defense doing a good job of getting a stop there and getting the ball back with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
They come after it this time. Kick gets away by Hodge. Nice quick release as it drops down to the 30-yard line. And Roman Campanaro does everything he can, but I'll tell you what, there's one player who's gotten himself drafted in the CFL when his year comes around. It's Ojutalayo today, strictly for specials.
Laomi Ojutalayo is now tied for the team lead in tackles today, Marshall. That's how effective he's been on special teams.
Starting wide side wide receiver.
That was his 5th tackle on special teams. There's a reason why he's the special teams captain of this group. Just incredible play from Ojutalayo. And Roman Campanaro, a very explosive returner, had a big kick return touchdown against Carleton earlier this year, chopped down by Ojutalayo.
Oh, here's Gena Yazbek trying to make some magic late in the game as he breaks across the 45-yard line and is tackled twice. Jahari Hastings hasn't said his name at all here today, but rolling onto the pile at the end, trying to finish things off. So they'll spot the football at the 42-yard line. Offensive line already ready to go for the Mustangs. And Brian Garrity warming up here on the western sideline in front of us. They're hoping they don't need him for anything other than an extra point as quickly as possible. As LaQuintana with pressure again brings down back-to-back sacks on drives for LaQuintana.
Mateo LaQuintana giving fits to the second-year right tackle, Reed Cloutier, for the Western Mustangs. You see it here. Hillock drops back to pass. LaQuintana dips the shoulder, rips his arm over top so Cloutier can't get his hands down on him. And then in a foot race with Evan Hillock, the 2 St. Thomas More graduates coming together again. And it's again Mateo LaQuintana taking Hillock down.
Hillock, quick release. Shane Griffiths all over it. Tried to get it to Messeri on a little smoke screen, and Griffiths fires up the sideline after another great defensive play with the clock rolling. 6:10 remaining in the Yates Cup.
Yeah, Braden Messeri's not happy about it. Letting his voice be heard. You see a couple offensive linemen. Cloutier with a tough series there for Western, allowing the sack, not getting out in time to block that screen. Perini not out there in time either. 3rd and very long, 3rd and 16 for Western. They have to go for it, down by 27.
No choice here. Hillock loads it up, wants to go vertical. Robertson, one-on-one battle, back and forth, and a flag comes in from the back. So it'll be a first down for the Mustangs.
Ethan Bayfield in coverage. Can't believe it. He's calling for the push-off, but it's going to be pass interference against Ethan Bayfield. We'll see it on the look here on the right side of your screen. A little bit of a hand fight, Marshall. I don't know about that one. That's the first offensive-defensive penalty we've seen all game. 5:39 to go in the fourth quarter. They've been letting them go all day, and that's the first pass interference flag we've seen. We've seen both sidelines get upset about it, but the first one to go against Laurier, Ethan Bayfield called, and that's what you get when you get a big receiver and a big-time playmaker in Seth Robertson.
And Robertson trying to run a deep crossing route once again. They'll check it down underneath. Yazbek run into the out of bounds as he runs through at about the, looks like the 20-yard line is where they'll spot him. So into the score zone once again. Here come the Mustangs down 51-24 with 5:24 remaining.
Just the check down option there for Evan Hillock. He wanted to go somewhere else, but Matt Caruso, who we haven't really talked about today, coming off the edge. Yazbek does a good job of getting yards after the catch. 1st and 10 for the Mustangs.
Hillock looks left, a couple of vertical routes and a slant underneath. Now has to roll away from the pressure to his right and steps out of bounds down around the 10-yard line, as it looks like, yeah, it'll be 1st and goal to go here. 83% coming away with touchdowns on the season for the Western Mustangs, tied with Laurier were tops in the OUA when it comes to getting majors. Once you get down to this chunk of the field, they certainly need it right now as quick as possible.
They were held to a field goal last time in the red zone, Marshall. They need a touchdown, down 27 points, under 5 minutes to go.
Alex Berwick sends it back from center to Evan Hillock. Looks outside, puts it back shoulder. Nice grab. Missouri went up and got it for his quarterback. And quickly runs his way back to the bench, but realizes they might need to send out the offense as they're talking it over on the side. And Greg Marshall doing the mental math as quick as he possibly can to set his team up for success, and they will send out Brian Garrity in the kicking unit.
Yeah, great catch by Missouri, getting up and getting it. It looked like that one might have been overthrown, but a big catch radius for Braden Missouri, who we really haven't talked about that much, but the Whitby, Ontario native, 9th in the OUA in yards per catch, gets a touchdown for Western. And you talked about the math. Well, that math there, the Western Mustangs down by 20 after the extra point.
Well, a lot of fight still left in the Mustangs despite being down big time in the fourth quarter. As Mateo LaQuintana, first-year OUA All-Rookie, all over former STM running mate, and Evan Hillock, who's trying to lead the Mustang comeback here in the 116th Yates.
Every yard, every hit, every second. It's earned out here. This game demands more than just skill. It demands fuel. The right fuel. Because out here, it's not just about how hard you work. It's about how long you keep going. When the game gets real, drink Bottle Still.
Where exceptional student athletes are born, where records are broken, where great plays are made, where school colors ignite passion, where champions prevail, where tradition is celebrated, Ontario University Athletics.
You don't think that's too cheetah looking? Does that look cheetah looking?
No.
No matter your team this season, a refreshing taste that's easy to enjoy. Bud Light.
When the game gets real, drink BioSteel.
Into the end zone goes Braden Missouri, and it's now 51-31 with 4:48 remaining. Never say never, and certainly Western has shown the capability to score very quickly in this football game, but Laurier with possession. It's funny. It almost feels like, Jack, it takes Laurier out of their comfort zone, which is let's just go out and score. Let's score as quickly and as much as we possibly can. Let's put as many points on the board as we can. When you tell them, well, I mean, you could just try to burn some clock. They're like, okay, yeah.
Well, and that's where you see them start to stumble a little bit.
Right.
It's not in their DNA. Their DNA is to go quick. It's when they play their best. It's when Taylor plays his best. We're going to see an onside kick here from Brian Garrity. He sent one out of bounds in week 4 against the Laurier Golden Hawks, down by 15 late in that fourth quarter. See if he can hit this one on time.
Hans team is out. It's Ethan Jordan and Ryan Hughes, the primaries. They'll go back to the boundary here, and the defensive lineman, Insitem, he's going to dig it out. The big man plays hero with a kick return to his career.
Well, you know what, Marshall? We talked about Bassett Hayden, who left the game in an ambulance, catching a touchdown, throwing for a touchdown. Khalil Durman with 2 catches. Mateo LaQuintana stepping up. Next man up mentality is the mindset of Laurier, and Chisenham Insitem, the only guy out there, gets his big bear mitts on the ball and gets down to the turf.
You can't kick it to 77, man. I mean,
He's
look
as
how smooth
dangerous
those
as
hands are.
Tayshaun Jackson.
Elgersma, inside handoff here. And Nelms stacked up, minimal gain on the play. It'll be second down.
You mentioned trying to kill some clock off here. Laurier able to bring this under 4 minutes. Once this play gets blown in by Kevin Baird. And so the Golden Hawks really just trying to take that time off the clock because up by 20. The more possession, the more time Western has by the ball, the more opportunity they'll have to come back. So Laurier, 2nd and 8, wants to try and kill some clock here.
Elgersma lets the play clock roll down to 2, now 1, takes the snap, hands it off. Jackson, jump cut, looking for that first down marker. Can he get enough push from the offensive line? And thought for a second he might have squirted out the other side. And we'll see where it is. 3rd and it's about 1.5 yards, 2 yards. And Taylor Elgersma, he just wants to stay out there and throw for the first down, but with a 51-31 lead and 3:26 remaining, they will play the field position angle here as Campanaro goes back to receive.
Something we haven't really talked about with Dawson Hodge. He's one of the country's better placement punters. He doesn't wow you with the average, 41 yards a punt, but his ability to put it where he wants. He had one out of bounds at the 14 earlier. He wants to hit a cleaner ball on this one, get it inside the 10, but he is so good and deadly at placing the ball on the field, and this really plays into that skill set.
He's got to get this one away clean as well because they're going to come after him, and they do. And another nice job by the blocking unit up front to allow Hodge to get it away. Hangs it way up there once again. Great hang time, great coverage as well. And not a white uniform in sight other than Campanaro because they came after it. And with Hodge boosting it high into the sky, it's Tanner Nelms first down the field to make the play.
Well, it's when your best players have your best work ethic and are willing to do anything to win. Tanner Nelms comes in, makes the tackle, but that's what we talk about ball placement. That ball's outside the numbers. There's nowhere for Roman Campanaro to go with it. You can't go to the field side. You have to take it up the sideline. Tanner Nelms uses it as a 13th defender, and now Western's 100 yards away from the end zone, down by 20, less than 3 to go in the 4th quarter.
We roll inside the 3-minute warning. This one ripped outside. Dasani McIntosh chopped down. Great play in the open field by Tristan Miller. As you see, the hardware laid out, ready to be handed out. There's the trophy right there, the Dalt White for the game MVP. Gold medals, and of course the 116th awarding of the oldest football trophy in North America, the Yates Cup, as Keon Edwards continues to battle, picks up a first down, and Western trying to go quickly once again to the line.
Good job there by Evan Hillock, just getting it underneath. There's Dasani McIntosh. He had the catch on first down. We talked about his explosiveness in the receiving game. He got chopped down by Tristan Miller. He's a indoor track and field athlete for Laurier, able to go step for step.
Hillock going to try to take a home run down the right sideline, and Mazzari makes another great grab, trying to break free from the last line of defense. And it's Miller there once again, but Braden Mazzari with the touchdown on the last drive, and now a monster gain down the right sideline.
Well,
if nothing else, his numbers are going to be huge by the end of this one.
Well, he just makes a great catch in coverage. Tied up with Ethan Bayfield and then able to create that separation. He trips up a little bit. That allows that track and field speed from Tristan Miller to catch up. We got to wait for the sticks to get set after that big gain from Braden Mazzari.
I think the chains got tangled here as they were running down the sideline, which actually gives Laurier's defense a second to breathe and communicate with one another.
It's a big time play for Mazzari. You need yards, you need points, and you need them quick. Not much quicker than a big gain like that for the Western Mustangs. We're back on the Laurier 15 and in the red zone. 2:12 to go in the 4th quarter and trailing by 20.
Hillock in the gun. Looks to throw, sidearm, gets it to Mazzari, who cuts back, knifes to the end zone and comes up just shy. But another great play by 84 down inside the 5.
Well, you're kind of wondering if you're a Western fan where this has been from Braden Mazzari all day. makes the catch, steps away from Tristan Miller, and then gets chopped down. But the tenacity, the aggression has been picked up here by Braden Masseri, who's really started to come alive in the fourth quarter, but Western hoping it's not too little too late.
Evan Hillock to the sidelines. Jerome Rancourt comes in. The short yardage package has not been kind to the Mustangs so far today. Rancourt looks to run it himself. Tracked down from behind. So after Hillock had them running down the field, Greg Marshall pulls his starting quarterback for the power passer, and it backfires once again with 1:58 remaining. Now they'll take Rancourt out and Hillock back into the game.
Odiasi, Tenney, Hastings in on the play, and a guy who's been automatic from that range in Jerome Rancourt. 32 carries on the year, 9 rushing touchdowns. He's just been stuffed all day long by this Laurier defense. Hillock back in at quarterback.
Hillock, quick play action fake, rips it underneath, incomplete.
Dasani McIntosh, the intended receiver here. Hillock quickly out of his hands, pressure in his face. McIntosh gets away from Miller, but that ball below his knee and the opposite way from where he was running. We're approaching 100 seconds to go in the game here, Marshall. And this could really do it here on 3rd and goal from the 7-yard line for the Western Mustangs.
Xavier Allen checks out. Craig Coleman, the fullback, is in. Laurier's defense, last second, sets themselves. Fake to Keon Coleman, backpedaling. Hillock knocked away. Tristan Miller there on coverage. One-on-one with Seth Robertson. Incomplete, turnover on downs. And Laurier can start to celebrate.
Pressure in Hillock's face. He's got to get it away quick. Tristan Miller, who got sidestepped by Masseri down into Laurier territory. He had separation on him from Dasani McIntosh. He goes step for step with Seth Robertson there, able to make the play on the football, forced the turnover on downs, and with 99 seconds to go in the 116th Yates Cup, up by 20, it's Golden Hawk football.
And now Taylor Elgersma with his heels facing towards his own end zone has to manage the end of this football game, as Nelms puts his head down and drives all the way for a first down on first down. That will certainly help. But what did Michael Foltz tell us earlier this week? Basically said the greatest thing that people tell us after games isn't, wow, I really loved how Taylor played or how many touchdowns he threw or how many points he scored. He said, wow, you really wore out that team in the fourth quarter. He said that's the biggest compliment because it talks about mentality, work ethic, confidence in your roster, everything he wants to instill in this Wilfred Laurier group. So he'd love to be able to end it on his own terms right now, as I'm sure Taylor Elgersma would as well. And Tanner Nelms looks like he's going to be the one at the controls of that with his offensive line out in front trying to finish this thing off.
Tanner Nelms had a phenomenal day. He's up to 20 carries, over 140 yards on the ground. Greg Marshall's going to take a timeout with 1:12 to go. You can see the Laurier fans already hop the banner. After the Khalil Durman touchdown, they knocked it over. So I don't know how much strength, but
I don't know what the ratio is there of security to student.
This is something, a game that hasn't been played at this school in 19 years. Yeah. A team that went 7-1 last year. They were a Week 9 loss against Western away from hosting this game last season. They beat Western week number 4. First time they beaten them at home since 2006. It was their first regular season win against Western since 2006. They come into the Yates Cup and everybody's saying, well, it's still Western. It's playoff Western. And Laurier's really put their foot down here today. They have a 2nd and 5 trying to ice this game away.
What a great moment for that student section in the end zone right now as they watch Tanner Nelms crossing the 35 and another first down for number 2.
Massive run. That's your veteran running back, Tanner Nelms. Came back for his final year, started here in 2019 out of Guelph, comes back after training camp with the Montreal Alouettes, and some big runs here in the fourth quarter. As Laurier can feel it.
And in a great year of OUA action, prepped to be capped off by a new Yates Cup champion. And with Michael Faulds at the helm and the program he's trying to build, feels like he is specifically built to destroy the big purple and white monster from London, because he understands what you have to do, because he's been on the other side of this. He's lived the Yates Cup championships and the toughness that Western has always had. He's brought a little bit of that down here to Waterloo.
One of the things he told us with Taylor Elgersma being a London, Ontario native, not going to Western, it means more to win a Yates Cup at a school like Laurier than it does. You look at the great quarterbacks have passed from Western and into Evan Hillock. They've been phenomenal, but all of them have won Yates Cups. Yeah. You look at the list of Laurier quarterbacks, how many have won Yates Cups, and Taylor Elgersma less than a minute away from getting his.
Hand it off inside once again, going nowhere on first down. Yeah, the first back-to-back Yates Cup, or the OUA MVP since Tom Dennison for Queens in 2002-2003. So Elgersman has done something special here in 2023-2024, unique. And yeah, you're right. I mean, Michael Faulds basically said you go to Western, if you don't win the Yates, everyone says it's a disappointment. You come to Laurier, you get one, everyone looks at you forever and says, man, you remember that Elgersmo Yates Cup team back in 2024?
People still talk about Michael Neville like that, and that was 8 years ago, and Laurier on the cusp of doing it again for the first time since then.
Is handed off to Nelms, wrapped up, nice tackle. Jackson Finley flies down from free safety, as it will be a first down, and that should do it. Victory formation ready to be unrolled here like a red carpet in Waterloo.
Ron Van Moorkirk getting the Gatorade bath on the Laurier sideline. Michael Faulds getting his now. The Laurier Golden Hawks just have to knee it out, and they get to win their 9th Yates Cup in school history. Michael Faulds gets his second, 2-2 as a coach in the big game, 4-3 overall, and University Stadium showed up for this team, and they showed up in the 116th Yates Cup.
In a season where Laurier shone brightest all year long, the Hawks are golden again! 116th Yates Cup champions! Your final, and Waterloo erupts for the first time in a long time. They get to raise the oldest trophy in North American football.
We talked about how much this moment means, Marshall. Western's run of 3 consecutive Yates Cups comes to an end. On the road, playing in a Yates Cup for just the second time since 2010 when they've been in the game. This is their 9th time in that stretch in that game. And today, they had a hot start, but the Laurier Golden Hawks offense was inevitable. And Taylor Elgersma and the Laurier Golden Hawks win the 116th Yates Cup. They punch their ticket to the national semifinal, and they cap off an incredible year of OUA football.
Tremendous season from start to finish, as we heard from Gord Grace, the OUA CEO earlier. 50 games strong, top to bottom, as competitive as ever. Lots of teams to be proud of their accomplishments this season, but none prouder right now than the Wilfred Laurier Golden Hawks, a UTEC Bowl in their future, just a week away, and the potential to travel down to Kingston for the Vanier Cup 2 weeks from today.
Well, I think every OUA team at the start of the year looked at the national semifinal matchups this year and said, if we can get out of our conference, we've got a good shot of getting to a national championship game. And then as the season's gone on, you look at the Laurier Golden Hawks, you look at the Western Mustangs, and you say these are two of the top 4 teams in the country that have to play each other twice, and Laurier gets the better of the Mustangs for the second time in 2024. And there's no doubt about it now. 2016, people said Laurier got lucky with the fourth quarter comeback. In 2024, the OUA is run by purple and gold.
Yeah, I went through this Golden Hawks team. They were the most explosive, the most dangerous, and the most consistent. As the players get together to shake hands, classy by the Western Mustangs to hang around and let Laurier have their moment, because you know over the last 3 years there's been plenty of times where the Mustangs have been the ones celebrating and the other teams have had to wait this one out, as Elgersma goes down in front of us to say hello to Evan Hillock and congratulate him on a great effort from the season. And yeah, Taylor Elgersma, you make the old joke about big man on campus, the starting quarterback, you know, they hear all that stuff. If this team goes on beyond next week, the crowd, first of all, at Queens to watch Laurier in a Vanier Cup, if it's anything like 2005, you go back to 91, all those, and that's going to be a wild, wild environment. Let's go down and hear from Taylor Elgersma. He's alongside Dinung Bulsara.
All right, here with Taylor. Okay, with Taylor, we talked about this at the awards luncheon, right? You won MVP last year. Unfortunately, came up short at the hands of this very same Western team. You won the MVP this year, but the job was not done. What emotions are going through your head right now?
I'm just so proud of our group, proud of our team. We built this for 3-4 years now. We've been working for this. This isn't a one-year thing. Us group of seniors came in together. This one feels good.
Now, the game script is very similar, right? Last year you went into the half with a lead, and then obviously Western came back. What changed about your mentality or your mindset coming into the second half?
Yeah, we talked about it in our locker room. We said, experience is just learning from your mistakes. When we won in a half, we knew we were here last year. We knew we had to do something different to get the outcome we wanted. We came out and scored right away. We put our foots on their throat.
Now, you've talked about how special this offense is. 5 different receivers with a touchdown. How proud of you are the guys, and talk about the faith that you have in them.
So proud of our guys. Our ex was down this week, Raiden Thorne. Number 3, Ryan Hughes, stepped up in a big way, making his first ever start here. I mean, we're so deep. I'm so blessed to have the playmakers around me, and I just got to thank God.
Absolutely. And, you know, the first Yates Cup here since 2005. How great was it to do this on your home field?
Oh, special. Our school put a lot of money into us this year. They got us facility upgrades. We paid them back with the Yates Cup.
Absolutely. Okay, go enjoy it with your teammates. We'll see you up on the podium. Back to you guys.
Thank you, D. Appreciate it. Yeah, Taylor Elgersma rightfully fired up, and also wondering if he's going to have his breath at any point over the next half hour, because he's running around the field like crazy over the last 10 minutes.
Well, he's got to be excited here in Marshall. Evan Hillock had the championship pedigree. He had the individual awards. Now he gets to solidify his resume with a Yates Cup championship and really put himself into the conversation of being an all-time great OUA quarterback.
You saw there the podium coming together for the Yates Cup championship presentation ceremony. That is coming up for you when we return, as the 2-time Yates Cup champion and MVP Michael Falls on the Western Mustangs sideline gets set to accept the Yates Cup championship trophy on home field here at Wilfred Laurier University.
When the game gets real, drink BioSteel.
season. A refreshing taste that's easy to enjoy. Bud Light.
Welcome back as the Yates Cup champions, 51-31. Laurier wins over the Western Mustangs, and the podium presentations getting set to go as everything continues here, as everyone finding their family and friends, and it's all thanks to these highlights, Jack.
Well, it starts off, Western gets a big touchdown on the first drive. Laurier responds immediately with Tayshaun Jackson, and then on Laurier's next drive, Elgersma, he missed Ryan Hughes on the play before. He finds him on that one, and Laurier takes a 14-7 lead. Then a perfectly placed ball to the 1,000-yard receiver Ethan Jordan over top of Jackson Finley. Darian Bassick-Hayden gets a receiving touchdown in the game. Tanner Nelms, all three Laurier running backs with touchdowns in the game. Bassick-Hayden, a thrown touchdown to Khalil Durman, and you can just see the emotion on the Laurier sideline. And you heard Taylor Elgersma say it. This is not a one-year project. This wasn't a team that got thrown together in the transfer portal. All the seniors on this team came in together during the COVID-19 pandemic, and they worked together for the last 4 years. Their first year in 2022, they went 3-3. They went 5-3 in an 8-game regular season the year after, 7-1 last year, and now an undefeated OUA schedule, 10-0 including the postseason, and 116th Yates Cup champions.
And I want to mention as well, the Western Mustangs, like obviously the champion is Laurier and all the rest. Another amazing year from Western. This game just as easily could have been back in London the way it has been for the last 3 years. I mean, so many years in a row. Essentially, this is the first time post-pandemic era that it has not been the Western Mustangs as Yates Cup champion. And you really start to think about it. Sometimes you need dominance and dynasty to force other teams, other programs, other schools to really step up their game. You heard Taylor Elgersma talking about the funding that went into the field, the facility upgrades, all the rest. I'm convinced that Western has pushed the OUA forward because people are saying, okay, we can't keep doing this forever where the Mustangs always get to have the championship trophy ceremony at the end. And so, yeah, they basically went ahead and said, well, if they're going to push the limit, we're going to match it and try and surpass it. And Laurier's done that today, but Western really is part of the major story here in the turn of the OUA and the quality of the gameplay.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Western's dominance has forced other teams to find ways to improve their program and get better. You see the final stats, 323 passing yards to 307. It's the rushing yards that's the big one here today, Marshall. Western, a run-first football team, 210 rushing yards. Laurier, 300 on the ground with multiple guys getting it done. 600 total yards and time of possession. They didn't allow Western opportunities to get back in the game once they put their foot on the gas.
It was a dominant performance by the time things were all said and done. As you see, the Golden Hawks climbing their way up onto the stage. Always a fun task for the OUA to try and grab the winning team. Guys, stage. But you got a trophy you want to get your hands on. Come on.
You want to celebrate with your teammates. You want to celebrate with your family. You want to celebrate with the students on campus because you get to do it at home. I remember back in 2016 being a part of that Laurier team and being told, stay out here as long as you can.
Right.
Embrace that moment.
Yeah.
You won 3 Yates Cups. You know what this feeling is like.
Amazing.
You know, you won a Yates Cup at Western. You won a Yates Cup on home field as well. The difference, Laurier wants to be able to celebrate with everybody involved and the whole team just rearing to go to lift that trophy and be crowned champions of the OUA.
And nothing like holding one of the heaviest trophies that exists in football as well. Let's head down to the trophy ceremony with Denang Balsara.
All right, Laurier, how good does it feel to be a Golden Hawk today? Awesome, what a game, what a moment, and what a celebration. It is now time to hand out some hardware following that incredible 116th Yates Cup powered by BioSteel. Okay, to start things off, I'd like to welcome Dan Crosby, the CEO of BioSteel, who's here to my right to present the Adult White Player of the Game Award. And following his performance, 306 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns. Who else but your OUA MVP, Taylor Elgersma. All right, congratulations again to Taylor. Next, I'd like to call upon the President and Vice Chancellor of Wilfred Laurier University, Dr. Deborah McClatchy, to present the Champions Award to today's winning head coach from your Golden Hawks, Michael Foltz. All right, Coach, come over. We're going to chat a bit. Okay, so we talked about halftime, right? Same game script as last year, going into the half with the lead, and obviously we know the result, but a much different result this year. Talk about the resilience of this ball club and what you were able to accomplish in that second half.
Yeah, outstanding. We, credit to Western. They're a phenomenal program. We knew they were going to not back down right till the very end, so we needed to score, and that's what we did. Led by our quarterback, Taylor Elgersma, and credit to the fans. You guys were loud, and we heard you all day.
Absolutely. Now, I know it's hard for someone like you not to start planning for the next prize that you have, but when you reflect on this season, undefeated season, the UA MVP, top offense in the entire country, what do you take away from this season?
I take away we're at where we said we'd be at, but we have 2 more. So our guys are going to celebrate tonight, and they're going to run for their penalties tomorrow morning.
Awesome. Congratulations, Coach. All right, last but not least, I'd like to invite the OUA President, CAO Gord Grace up here at the front, and Kate McCrae, Jess Gord Grace here. So now we will present the championship banner and the historic Yates Cup, 116th Yates Cup champion, the Laurier Golden Hawks.
Championship banner time, and get their hands on that Yates Cup. For many of these players, Jack, it'll be the first time, and even some of them, the last time that they'll get a chance to hold the Yates Cup championship trophy. A pretty special moment.
It's a moment you'll never forget. It's a moment that's a part of you forever, but you heard Michael Foltz say there, they'll celebrate it tonight. They'll run for their penalties tomorrow. 1 penalty for 15 yards, which came in the fourth quarter.
Live a little, Mike.
Yeah,
1 penalty. Don't make them run.
Enjoy it. But the Golden Hawks, an incredible performance here today. Really couldn't have played much better. The game started the way we expected it to start, with touchdown drives from both teams on their first drives. But then Laurier able to assert their dominance a little bit and make Western look normal and human. And that's not something that everybody has been able to do. And the Laurier Golden Hawks get to celebrate with that championship trophy. No players left over from 2016. This is a new unit that gets to have this memory for the rest of their lives.
Well, everyone in attendance starts to spill their way out of the stadium towards the streets. Go find a house party. Go over to Wilf's. Go wherever you want to go. Go celebrate a Yates Cup championship, because the Wilfred Laurier Golden Hawks have earned this one. The undefeated season carries on. Semi-final victory over Queens, and now the 116th Yates Cup powered by BioSteel. It is calling home right here in Waterloo. Great to work with Jack Ward today, Don Balsara, for our entire crew. Thank you so much for watching. And now we all get a chance to watch a potential Vanier Cup run from the Yates Cup champion, Wilfred Laurier Golden Hawks.